Oh, I don't know about Mac. Hiya, George. Looks like we're going live.
We are live.
Oh, fantastic. We are live. Okay. So we've got Glenys here, and here we are for another Tuesday, and we're going to be talking about all the different aspects of success, whatever that means to you. Success for me tonight is going to be lasting for long enough so that my voice doesn't give out, because I've managed to put it under a lot of strain this last week. So I'm going to be enunciating very carefully and not putting too much of a strain on my voice. And I've got my cider vinegar and honey in hot water.
Oh, that's so good. Yes, that's very good for your voice.
Yeah. So, anyhow, let's just have a chat quickly about what we're going to be talking about tonight. I'm going to be going on first, and I'm going to be talking about keeping things simple. And when I've mentioned this to a few people, they said to me, what about the stupid? Haven't you forgotten the stupid? But I'm leaving the stupid out of it. I just want to keep it simple. So, Glenys, are you still there? Or did we lose you? No, we might have done. Okay, so it might be a mystery. But when we get Glenys back, if she's still there, we'll find out what she's going to be talking about later on too. At some point in the proceedings, the amazing, the exonerated Wah-Batty will be joining us, and he will be discussing all sorts of things to do with the mind. And here she is. Hi, Glenys. It's going to be one of those days.
I didn't even say anything yet, and I got kicked out already.
So, Glenys, before you go, what will you be talking about later on?
Well, we're going to be talking about the 6 XS of prosperity, perfect prosperity, and it's going to be positive neuroscience. Very technical, very scientific, but totally fine the way I present it, because I'm not technical at all. So. But it sounds really official.
Yeah.
So
I'm very impressed. I've no idea what that could be, so I'm really looking forward to that.
I hope I remember. I keep getting kicked out. I'm so technically involved here. I may not remember what I was going to say, but I had a plan.
And here's Wah. Thanks, Glenys. Wah. There he is. Look at this. Here he is. Wah, what will you be talking about later?
Yeah, I'll be, I think I'm just connecting, so I don't see the Hangout at the moment, but I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Yes.
This is like the Eurovision Song Contest. This is great. Luxembourg, come in. Tell us your results. Can you hear us, Wah?
Yep, I hear you. Yes, I do.
Super. What will you be talking about later for us, Wah?
Today, well, I just wanted to do just like a common thread over the coming weeks, and I want to be talking about minding your mind, beyond positive thinking.
Sounds great. Beyond positive thinking. I need the positive thinking. I don't know if I'm advanced enough to go beyond yet, but anyway, I'll be listening. So I'll be here. I have a very sore throat tonight. I managed to hide it very well. I've got my cider vinegar and honey in hot water, and it's going to hopefully keep me going.
Well, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay. It transmitted down the internet after last week's show.
Oh, then you must have got it from me. Sorry.
So we're experimenting with all sorts of fun technology today. So below my chin, hopefully, you can see a little lower third that I toyed around with, which has got one of my websites on there, which, funnily enough, right now, if you went there, you'd see nothing because it's under maintenance. But why not just have it up there on the screen so we can see what sorts of things are possible with all the new Hangout stuff, which is great. So I'm going to be talking about keeping it simple. And while I try and talk about keeping it simple, we're going to have all sorts of technological shenanigans going on around us, no doubt. But when I talk about keeping it simple, I really mean it. I'm going to start by basically just talking about some simple stuff like sleep, food, and exercise before I go on to anything more complicated. So I think if you're okay, guys, I'll get started. And
Yeah, absolutely.
and I reserve the right to ask you pertinent questions and get your input many times.
Sounds
One
good.
of the things, thank you very much. One of the things that I always circle back around to every so often when I think, why are things not quite going the way that I intended? Because that happens every so often, doesn't it? It does to me. And it's always something that I've been doing. It's never an outside force or anything like that. When I stop and look at it, it's always the way I've set things up and the way that I'm doing things, which is causing whatever is, not quite going the way I thought. And I end up coming right back down to three basics, which underpin everything else. And they are sleep, what I do to take care of my body in the time when I'm, my downtime, when I'm taking time out from being conscious, which is important. What I eat, because how I fuel my body is remarkably, it feeds back almost instantly through to whatever else I'm doing. And then also the exercise that I do, because that plays an important role in the energy levels that I have. So basically, and Wire's going to pop in and out, no doubt, because he's having technical trouble with his internet connection, which is fine. We all do from time to time. I chat to a lot of people. I have a lot of friends who do various different things, different lines of work, different walks of life. But every single one of them has spoken to me at some point about how they feel they're not managing their life properly and what can they do about it. And every time that we have that conversation, it's a great opportunity for us to talk about things like time management and how to run your life. And also it's a great opportunity for me to look at how I'm doing things too, because I can never really truly sit there and be smug, not that I'd want to be, but if I ever catch myself thinking, oh, I seem to have that worked out, that's always the sign that something's about to go disastrously wrong. Life, as far as I see it, it's like an oil rig that has three legs, and each leg represents some major underpinning force. So if one leg was sleeping habits, and one leg was eating habits, and another leg was exercise habits, just as a for instance for this discussion, while I'm busy paying attention to one leg and sorting that out, I'm not paying attention to the other two, and they all start to collapse and crumble, and then I have to turn around. So my focus is constantly moving from thing to thing, trying to keep the whole thing up in the air, if you like. And I used to think that was bad and that I was not doing it right, but over the years I've come to realize that that's just how things are. And I just have to accept it and just get on with it, which is fine. So what do I do? Well, one of the things that people say to me, it doesn't matter whether they have an online job or a day job where they go out to work in an office, or whether they're a shift worker, or whether they're unemployed, or whether whatever it is that they do. A lot of people feel like they're not functioning at full power. They're inefficient. They don't quite seem to know what their goals are. They don't quite understand why they're here, what they're doing, and they don't seem to have enough time. They don't remember to do stuff. They forget anniversaries. They don't phone their loved ones when they want to, and they feel like the bills are running away from them. They don't have time to talk to people, let alone commute in and out to work and then run their business at home if they do that, or just watch television and have some enjoyable time. And then the weekend comes and it goes, and then another week, and they feel like they're on a treadmill. And so these discussions that I have with people often begin and end with the same kinds of things. And one of the big ones is sleeping. One of the big steps to managing your time efficiently, bizarrely, because it is kind of counterintuitive, is to spend a lot of time asleep, sufficient time asleep. because of the way that sleep nurtures everything else. And of course, if you're a busy, active person, the idea of letting go of everything, especially if you're kind of a semi-controlled freak, or you like to be in charge and you like to have everything just so, the idea of I'm going to leave it all there and I'm going to go and lay my head down and forget all about it can be really difficult. But this is the thing. You've got to let go. One of the big foundations of managing your time is that you've got to spend a lot of time away from the thing that you're managing. You have to take time out. And one of the best ways to take time out that's healthful for your body, your mind, and your emotions, and your energy levels, and everything else, is to get enough sleep. And the thing that nobody really understands, me included, I guess, is what does enough sleep look like? What does it feel like? How is it a number of hours? Is it a certain type of sleep? Does it matter where I sleep? Can I break sleep up? Can I have a couple of hours here and a couple of hours there? If I nap during the day, is that okay? So one of the first things that I want to discuss with my two compadres here is how do you sleep? I mean, because sometimes our sleep patterns can be rotten, but it's okay, and that doesn't seem to make much sense. And then other times we have a real regular habit of sleep, but we don't seem to be getting enough value out of that sleep. What's going on when that's happening? And so that's my first real throw open to everybody here. What do you think, guys?
What do we think is happening when you don't get good quality sleep?
Yeah.
Wow. I actually have a lot of opinion about all of this, actually. Funny you should ask. Of course I would, because I, as a Taoist priest and trained in martial arts, Tai Chi and Qigong, we're all about cultivating Qi, which is life force. And that life force, the way you cultivate it is exactly the way you were talking about your three legs. The sleep, the food, water, and what they say is that you actually cultivate Qi, which is your life force, which gives you everything you need to live an active, healthy, and long life, is food, good quality food, clean food. So that's not packaged, cheese product things that are not made out of anything real, or chicken McNuggets that they can't even call chicken anymore. Now they're just McNuggets because there's not enough chicken in them to call them chicken. Like that. So those kinds of things, you would have real food, get good quality sleep, clean water, clean air, meditate, which is stillness, which sleep sort of fills the bill for that too, because that's when your body regenerates. And then you go into Chinese medicine with I could talk so I probably should stop, but the meridian channels, the organs on the meridian channels, they all regenerate at night, the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, all that. And if you're not sleeping when that happens, well, then that organ doesn't get regenerated that night because you didn't go to sleep. So if you have really bizarre sleep patterns, you're actually depleting your life force every day that you don't sleep. Most people should be in bed around 11, between 11 and 12, and stay there until minimum 6. Ideally, it would be really great if you were going around 10, but, people don't. 10 to 5, 10 to 6. And then you start the day on the right thing, so your elimination happens at the right time, and that's the other thing. If you sleep in and you don't do your morning ablutions at the right time, you're reabsorbing the toxins from that, and it's kind of gross. So, yes, and good quality sleep. Everybody's sleeping in front of their TVs and thinking that's good quality sleep. And even through your eyelids, the light flashing on the TV and the sound that's coming into your head, or a radio or something on. And I'm not specifically, because Wa loves his radio, and anybody on TMN knows that Dave loves his radio. I'm not. It's just, how I feel about the radio. But any kind of noise or thing that you have going on that's like a repetitive thing in the background that you have to actually block out to sleep, but you're using it as white noise. Pick a white noise that is a white noise, like recorded rain, or wave, something rhythmic that your body can let down from. Because if you're hearing people laughing and talking, your brain never sleeps. And in Taoism, we call it Shen disturbed. Your spirit's disturbed because it thinks it should be paying attention. So if you're watching a movie and you fall asleep and you think, oh, that's 2 hours, that doesn't count at all, because all the explosions and all the screaming and everything all went into your being. It didn't allow you to rest. Your spirit never rested. So it's a long answer to a big question, or a short answer to a big question.
That's great. I mean, in a minute, I'm gonna think about it in terms of what if I didn't know any of that, and I don't, I'm just like, well, I want all that to happen behind the scenes, and I just want to know how much to sleep. I'll think about that in just a minute, but I want to hear from Wa, because Wa, what's your sleep patterns like?
Mine
is terrible.
Yeah, well, mine are actually not very good in the fact that what Glenys has just said, because even though I'm in the UK, I kind of keep American Eastern Time, so I get up late in the morning because I sleep late at night, purely because that's the hours I keep for working and the things that I do. So I think it's been proven with people who just work night shift and things like that. I think when they actually change patterns, it's more difficult. But if you're like on a permanent night shift, you seem to fall into a pattern and get the right amount of sleep and the right amount of refreshness, because obviously that's why we need sleep, isn't it? We need sleep to refresh ourselves, and so the body and the mind can actually repair itself.
Yeah. Thanks, Juan. I mean, that wasn't a fair question because I know that you sleep on. I mean, but that was a great answer, because actually what it reveals is that you have a regular pattern. I mean, I'm worse than you because I keep American time some nights of the week, and I still get up I don't sleep in late because I have my day job to go to. So I'm paying a price, whereas you're managing to balance it out in the long run. So I'm acute.
You can
Sorry?
see the days that you miss, that you've really sort of robbed Peter to pay Paul. You can reset your circadian clock, which is your pineal gland in the back of your head, and it's where they say the spirit lives. If you drill the hole straight through here and straight down through the top, the junction would be the pineal gland, or pineal gland, or pineal if you're from the south. And in that gland is what sets the circadian clock for your body. So if you want to reset it, like when you've sort of abused and you're off, you can go outside between 11:30 and noon, high noon, and just be outside and let the light into your eyes. Just have your eyes open. Don't wear sunglasses. And you will reset. So you won't feel so funky.
Okay. And do I need to spend a long time out there?
About 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Not too bad. So for lunch or something, if you can get yourself out there as close to high noon as you can. But 11:30 to 12 is a really interesting time, because there's this light that's then that if you are fair-skinned and you would fry in 15-20 minutes of sunlight, which most people in England are because there is no sun there, and Wales and stuff, you can be under a bush or under a tree or something, and the light is very reflective and bouncy, so you can get the benefit of it without actually having direct exposure. But the best thing is to have as much skin out as possible, because the other thing that happens because you've done that is you're stressed, and they've found that there is adrenals receptors in the skin now that they didn't know about. So not being in the sun is really not an option for stress.
Okay. Thanks for that. I mean, obviously my day job as a teacher, I can't easily suddenly, expose a lot of flesh at lunchtime, but
no, I guess they would get upset about that.
I'm just trying to think about what they would say, where's Mr. Williams gone? Oh, he's up on the roof running around with his shirt off, maybe. But no, that's great. I mean, that's interesting because, I didn't know that. And quite often, I can't always get out during that time slot, but my time slot would probably have to be 12:40 to 1 or 1:30 to 2 or something like that. But now, but could I do that on a daily basis anyway, and just get out at lunchtime, and then that would keep the circadian rhythm healthy and balanced?
Yeah, it will help, and it will also help you with vitamin D production, which will help with pretty much everything, because a lot of our modern diseases are being found to come from that. So yeah, so any kind of a little bit of sunlight exposure on a regular basis would be great.
Yeah, great, thanks. And we've got Andy with us. Hi, Andy.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yeah.
loud and clear, mate. With a nice machiney hum in the background as well.
Oh yeah, that's the monster PC. How is everybody?
Very well, thanks. We're just talking about sleep, exercise, and food. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this tonight was because things get complicated really quick. In business, in life, it's easy for things to run away and get suddenly so complex that you can feel overwhelmed, and I definitely experience that on a daily basis, if not an hourly basis, if I'm not careful. And I always come back to the basics. If I find myself with that kind of feeling of, it's not a panicky feeling exactly, but it's a slightly anxious feeling of, I don't feel like I'm in charge at the moment. That's my cue to take a look at, how am I managing my basics? My basics are always sleep, food, and exercise. And I could probably even add cleaning to that, because of what Glenys said last week. That if you feel stuck in any area of your life, go clean a closet, or tidy the desk or whatever, because that is a great what's the word I'm looking for? It frees the flow up.
Yeah, therapeutic block breaker.
Well, I actually did that from last week, so I've got a nice clean desk now.
Ah, fantastic. I've cleaned up a whole bunch of stuff downstairs, but not in here yet. But I will. The thing is that we can get a lot of energy. We can draw energy in from a number of sources. I mean, I can tell you from experience that when I go into a classroom full of kids, my attitude is very rarely close to negative. Even if I know as I'm going in there that some of the kids in there might be a bit of a nightmare. Because I go in and, I'm looking to have a great time, I'm looking to educate, and I know that if I'm not on my game, then, they're not going to enjoy learning, and then they're not going to learn very much. I go into a classroom and I get a huge amount back. I try and engage, on a one-to-one with as many pupils as I can during a lesson, and I get a huge buzz out of their efforts and their whole experience in trying to grapple towards growing and becoming a better person, or more of a person, even if they're not actually engaging with what I want them to be learning. Because a huge part of the school environment is about socialization. As well as learning, and so they're learning to be people as well as learning maths or English or whatever subject it is. So that it's the content, but it's also the format. So I get a huge amount in from doing my teaching, and I also use a lot of that and put it straight back in. But sleeping is one of those insurance policies that if I get a good night's sleep, I can make sure that I'm not tired during the day, and that's really important. What I know is that if I get to a point where I'm so tired I don't feel like doing anything, then you can forget any idea about productivity or efficiency or reaching my goals or anything like that. I may as well not have any goals once I get to the point where I'm so tired I don't want to do something. So actually, nurturing myself so that I feel during the daytime hours, because it's not always daylight, but during the daytime when I want to be focused on my whatever task I'm doing, and I want to give it 100%, having a good night's sleep behind me as a backup is the best insurance policy. And then Glenys just told us a whole bunch of reasons and details that all connect up about what actually is going on behind the scenes. and I want to look at it, which is great, and I want to look at it too from the point of view of what if I don't really understand all that, or I hear it, but it doesn't, at this stage it doesn't mean much to me yet. What should I be doing anyway? You know, I still want to get to the same place. I want to feel energetic. I don't want to feel tired. What should I do? Okay, and Glenys is great because she'll tell you all the stuff that, you know, is like, this is what's actually happening, and we'll locate it in different parts of the body and explain why this, you know, makes that happen and things like that. And a lot of people really relate to that, which is great. And you know, maybe you don't. Maybe that's not your thing, and you know, you're not there yet, but you still want to get a good night's sleep, and you kind of realize it's important. You don't know why. So you know, on that level of, you know, sleep is good, and we kind of accept that, maybe without knowing why. What sort of types of sleep should we be getting? So Glenys just gave a really good tip, which is to go outside during, you know, the best time would be 11:30 to 12 noon to get a certain type of sunlight onto as much of your skin as possible, which then resets your circadian rhythm and keeps you healthy and regular, which is fantastic advice. So if you can do that, great. Now, what can you do at other times of the day? Like, I mean, you said in bed by 11, but 10 would be great. Getting up at 5 or 6 in the morning. So that sounds like a really good night's sleep. Is it the number of hours that's important, do you think, Glenys?
Well, you know, there's a lot of diverse information about that. The Chinese believe that you don't need more than 5 hours. And the Americans, what doctors are saying here, 7 to 8 hours minimum. And basically, all I can tell you is that you know your own body. You live in it. If 5 hours makes you feel like a raggle-taggle, then that's not enough. If you can function at with 5 hours and be on your game, you know that, then you can do it. Now, the Chinese also do Tai Chi and Qigong, you know, in the morning every day. We don't. Those programs actually generate life force. So they're able to do with less sleep because they're doing chi building activities, whereas like running or something like that is not the same level of accumulation of life force. Oh, look who just joined us. Hi.
Hiya, Caleb. How you doing?
Hi, Caleb. How are you?
You came here to yawn.
He's sleepy. He's getting sleep at the right time. But I've said that I'm in here.
So bottom line is you have to trust your own body. It's really the one that knows. I mean, people have lots of opinions about a lot of stuff, what you should eat, and what you should, you know, all these things. There's all kinds of rules of thumb and things that people say, this, that, and the other thing. But I really, I'm a firm believer in you got to trust what your own body does the best with. So rule of thumb, you know, real basic, bring it back to simple, which, you know, is what you asked. Trust when you feel good, that's the right number.
It's funny because my other half, Judy, is, you know, she loves sleep, and she'll go to bed 9 o'clock in the evening and sleep through till 8 the next morning, and you know that's terrific. And I will get by on, you know, 4.5 hours, 6 hours, and as long as it's a multiple of 1.5 hours, I'm fine. If I wake up in the middle of a 1.5 hour cycle, I'm like a zombie, and I have to really, you know, grab myself and drag myself out of a sort of torpor if I do that. So I find that 4.5 hours or 6 hours is a great number for me. And laying, I used to love laying in. I used to love sleeping in the morning and, you know, hitting the snooze on the alarm clock and everything. And although occasionally I do that, and it's fine when I do, most of the time I don't enjoy it now. And actually, you know, I don't feel much better for doing it. So, you know, I feel a lot better when I'm up and about and doing things. I find it really helps when I want to wake up in the morning. I find it really helps if I go to sleep the night before, and I kind of think about a purpose, something I want to get up for in the morning, the following morning. I find that really helps me to get out of bed, almost like I'm kind of embedding, a strong reason why to get out of bed the next day, and that really helps me. Anyhow, we've got a lot of people in here. We've got David, we've got Caleb, we've got Andy, we've got Glenys and Juan, and me. So, folks, we're talking about the basics. Okay, we're talking about keeping it simple: sleep, food, and exercise as the underpinnings of everything we do. We all abuse each of those things from time to time. We eat the wrong things. We eat too much. We don't get enough exercise, or we then start to do the exercise, and it's the wrong moment to try, and then we don't get enough sleep, and all the rest of it. Caleb, can you hear me okay? I think so. I'm not hearing you though. Yeah. Oh, cool. You're there. Caleb, what's your sleeping habit like? Do you have a good sleeping?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
12 to 7.
Do you have a regular sleep pattern?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah? Cool. What about you, David? Can you hear me okay, David?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear, thanks.
It's a mixed bag. It depends, I think, depending on how I'm abusing myself the day before, I suppose. I think that I sleep very lightly. I used to live in the country, and it never, things started to, I could hear things after a while. So, things were so quiet, but then I would be able to hear so much. But when I was young, I lived right across the street from a firehouse, and I wouldn't wake up for anything. So it just goes to show you how much things change. So I think generally, though, I probably wake up quite a bit more than I want to.
Interesting.
But I do have an opinion, as you might imagine. I have an opinion about sleep and how much we need. I think that it's true that each of us, complex as we are, require whatever amount we individually require. But I think it's more associated with how much of the dream sleep that we get. And there's a couple of types of dream sleep that we have to get. One more controllable in a sense than the other. So I don't think that it's clear that you necessarily need so many hours of sleep, but you need that quality sleep every night to make the difference.
I definitely feel that. Yeah. Hey, is that Scott? Hi, Scott.
Hi.
Hey, we have a full room tonight, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think everybody varies. Some people swear by 8 hours a night, and some people 6 and 7 or whatever, or a different amount on the weekend to the weekday, and things like that. But I think there are some basic. Yeah. I think there's Caleb. Your microphone. It really is an interesting sound. I'm going to get you to talk in a minute. It's a real kind of robotic sound that I'm getting from you. I don't know whether anyone else is, but it's a real interesting noise.
On a Mac.
Ah, right. That's great. You sound like a Dalek. That's fantastic. I wish I had that. And we love Macs too. But there's a couple of things you can do. Just kind of basic stuff that, like Glenys said, don't fall asleep in front of the TV because that's not proper sleep. Don't do that. Okay. Don't fall asleep in the chair.
That's what I do every night. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna say don't do that because it's not really high value sleep. My body tells me the following things. If I eat close to bedtime, whenever bedtime is, I don't get any rest because my stomach is getting busy. I'm digesting, and I often tell the difference between. I'm sure there might be some things I could eat and drink closer to bedtime that are better and there are some things I could eat and drink closer to bedtime that are worse. I get a feeling that Glenys might have an opinion about what some of those things might be, and I'll ask her in a minute. But the other things to avoid could possibly be things like caffeine and tobacco, okay? Because anything that's a stimulant is obviously you're going to have to fight that to relax and bring yourself down into a sleep state. And exercise too, although it can exhaust you and then get you ready for sleep, actually it increases your pulse, gets your body energized, and so that can also be counterproductive in getting you off to sleep. So there are a couple of things I'm going to throw out there that are going to, I'm saying avoid those close to bedtime. But the other thing I'm going to say is this: what about if you have a sleep schedule and you stick to it? Okay, so don't sleep, 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. one time, and then the next day 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. How about keeping a regular schedule? Is that going to be beneficial to you or not? Okay, so there's a couple of things to throw out there to some of you guys. Glenys, I want to call on you first, because I want to know about what could I eat close to bedtime, because I like food. Is there anything that I can eat close to bedtime and not spoil my sleep?
Well, you know what's really good? Cheese. But technically, that's not part of what I recommend for sun time. But cheese is a really great food to eat because it reacts with your body as an opiate. So it actually makes you feel so good. People love to have cheese, especially melted cheese. It's very nourishing. That's not a lot of cheese, just a little bit of cheese. Just a little bit of cheese. And also, too, because of the feel-good effect, you're able to relax. The other thing that's really good, but a lot of people say, oh, I can't have that because it's too much caffeine, but it's cocoa, chocolate. For women, that works pretty much any time for almost anything. So, we like chocolate. So chocolate's a good thing. So chocolate and cheese, dietarily terrible. But for like sleeping, yes. So that's like kind of that warm milk thing. The same thing happens, but most people don't drink warm milk anymore. But they might have a little cheese and crackers or something,
My son has warm milk.
Oh.
Reasonably often at bedtime.
Hot cocoa works. Hot cocoa has both. Chocolate and see, look, it's a great thing, and they already make it.
I'm trying to get him into the habit though of I've cleaned my teeth, so I'm not going to have anything sugary. Well,
so
okay.
The hot cocoa and then the teeth cleaning. You got to get the order right.
It sounds
what do
like
you guys think? Is that you, Scott? Sorry.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to keep like a fondue pot with extra bed. Some cheese and chocolate.
I like that.
That's a good idea. They have electric ones. You could just set it and it would just be kind of on the boil all the time.
You just need a cheese pillow. You lay your head down, and the cow just comes around you, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Next week's show is on weight loss.
Yeah, sure. I would say that science in a sense says that there are certain foods that have tryptophan in them, which is an amino acid or a protein. And that will do something. But the fact remains is that there is no, and this has been shown on multiple tests and shows. It's like MythBusters and things like that. You can't eat enough food that has tryptophan in it to get you to be sleepy. Turkey being one of them. But if you do a little bit of research, scientific research, you'll find that usually it's those foods that have carbohydrates that are going to help you to get to sleep more easily and stay asleep. So I know, as bad as it sounds, bread, a little bit of pasta or something like that. The heavier the food, the more that the stomach has to digest, the more that your blood flow becomes restricted to the stomach, and sort of why they tell you don't go swimming after you eat and all that kind of stuff. So I would personally stay away from things like heavily fatted foods. So I wouldn't eat cheese before I went to bed. No, maybe I would because I would, but things like meats and that. So carbohydrates, nuts, fruits, some of the simpler types of things would probably help you to sleep better.
Mm.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Because I was always told, don't eat cheese late at night because it will give you nightmares.
They're called, now, if anyone wants to know the old story about it, there was actually a cartoon by a guy named Winsor McCay around the turn of 1900, early 1900s, and it was the Confessions of a Welsh rarebit, I think is what it's called, right? Which is a piece of toast. You know what Welsh rabbit is? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't have anything to do with rabbit, actually. It's a piece of bread, toast, that has melted cheese on it, right? And the story, this whole cartoon line, this Winsor McCay was wonderful. Actually, he's the inventor of the first cartoon, which was of Gertie the dinosaur, the first moving picture cartoon, and he also was the inventor of Little Nemo, which was a later cartoon that he did, I guess, for the Chicago Tribune. But in the Confessions of the Welsh Rarebit, what would happen is that every night, I forget whether it was a kid or an adult or whatever, would eat this cheese-laden bread toast, and the rest of the cartoon would be these wondrous, scary, wild dreams that they would have because they had so much of the stuff when they went to bed. So.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's great. I'm getting educated.
Every college kid knows pizza at night. That's why the pizza places are open so much later.
Yeah, they're not interested in sleep.
Well, eventually they'll go down. It's after the beer and stuff, but but that's one of those things. Like everybody thinks if you have a cup, you have a little toddy before bed, that'll make you sleep, but it doesn't.
Bad news.
And then what happens is you chew through the sugar of it, and you wake up 3 or 4 hours later, and you're wide awake. Which a lot of people, when they do the carb thing, like the noodle thing, it's like that whole thing with Chinese food, like you can eat it, and 3 or 4 hours later, you go really sleepy, and then you're hungry again because you've bottomed out on the carb hit. But I'm just like a little tiny bit. Dietarily, I know I'm flying in the face of everything that everybody says to eat, but cheese makes people feel good, and when you feel good, you sleep. and it's got enough fat in it to carry over the night. Just a little. We're not eating 4 pounds or anything. Just a little cheese and crackers. Maybe a little. Just a little. And maybe a little sip of wine. Just a little.
Just a little cube.
Yeah. just enough. Then brush your teeth.
Yeah.
You don't want cheese breath in the morning.
No, bad news. Bad news.
Especially if it's anything like stinky cheese like you guys have over there. You got really.
Oh my gosh. We've got cheese in the fridge at the moment that you wouldn't want to mess with it.
I have a Shropshire Blue I'm enjoying right now, but yeah, there's some cheese over there that you can smell for about 5 miles away, and it tastes really good.
This cheese is like the China syndrome. It's gonna burn through, and it's gonna come out the other side of the planet. It's strong. But I'm interested in one of the reasons I'm interested in sleep is because I have a lot of friends who are online. Oh, Caleb's back, brilliant! Just at the right moment, Caleb. I have a lot of friends who are they work online. They do they're virtual assistants or they're internet marketers or they're software developers or games developers, and for all of those things, there's this kind of I don't know whether to call it slightly macho or just say that it's a kind of rock and roll lifestyle element attached to it. That I'm not in a 9-to-5 day job, so I'm going to stay up all night. Damn it! And one of the things that I've noticed
the cheese.
about
Can you hear me better now?
one of the things I've noticed a little bit going
veins. When you cut it, it bleeds.
This is a $90 maker.
Ooh.
It's getting worse.
That's great.
Pink Floyd entered the building.
Yes. Wait. Exterminate Exterminate.
A Dalek from Manchester.
Yeah.
You're right, kid. Exterminate.
Exterminate.
One of the things that I was really interested in is a lot of my friends are just picking up little health issues as they get older. And one of the things that a few of them are suffering from, and I don't know how much exactly, but there's something called, well, some of them are just getting exhausted, but others are getting stuff like adrenal fatigue and things like that from, habitually abusing their body clock or circadian rhythm, I guess. And I know that, Caleb might launch something, a product, and he might stay up all night, to watch the thread of the launch when
My staff do.
makes the
I
product
don't.
go live.
My
don't do
staff
it?
do it. I don't.
That's great. I mean, that's really smart stuff. And I know a
thread-
lot of people who do.
The thread, I just let them whine it because it's kind of funny to read in the morning. Like 50 pages of, I didn't get my download or whatever. Do I still sound like a robot? I just
No, Caleb, you sound
No, much better.
Much better now.
I sound like a human?
Yeah, you
Well,
sound almost,
don't
you sound
go too
almost
Sound like you.
Well, you've met me too, so you should know how I sound.
I do. I
Yeah.
was going to say I've met him and actually stood next to him and had a hug and everything.
Oh,
Just like
right.
him.
I met David too.
Yes.
I didn't get a hug.
He was drinking a glass of wine too.
You were smoking. And David, I saw you there, but I don't think I met you.
No, I don't think we met.
I saw you in the seminars.
Like my water, Gladys?
Oh, good job. He drinks water.
So, one of the things, that's another reason why I was interested in the whole sleep thing, because if all these people are not quite getting sleep right over a period of time, could it have maybe a long-term serious effect? And I know one of my friends has been pretty much knocked out by this adrenal fatigue, and which kind of worried me a little bit because I thought, he's not done things much differently to me. He smokes a little bit more than I do. I don't smoke, but there's not a lot of difference, and he's kind of, he's very, very low energy during the day and all this stuff, and I think if that happened to me, that would sink all my goals. So I can't afford to let that happen. So I'm curious about it. What can I do to make myself healthier and just generally put myself in better shape just by sleeping alone. So there's a few things I've learned tonight that I'm going to take away with me, I think. So thanks to everyone that's given me a few tips there. So the other two things, I told you that it's like a three-legged oil rig. While I'm focusing on one thing, the other two things are going to hell. So, of course, I've spent 50 minutes talking with all you guys about sleep and then eating and exercise, and then we're almost at the top of the hour. But I try not to eat close to bedtime. If I eat just before I go to sleep, I tend to sleep different. When I do get to sleep, I tend to have a really sort of, I don't know, interrupted sleep, I think is probably the best description. I love food, though. This is the terrible thing. So I like this idea of Glennis's of eating some cheese, even if I'm not hungry.
I tell you what, why don't you make an experiment of it and try try a little less than an ounce or so of cheese every night before you brush your teeth, and
Then do a product on it.
yeah, of course, right. And then to try, a little chunk of bread for the next week and see which one serves you best.
And recently I've been doing a spoonful of honey because I have bees just out the back, and so I've raided them for a
That
little
sounds like a disease, actually. I have bees out the back. That doesn't sound good.
Well, a little honey in the morning with your cider or lemon in hot water is a great digestive aid. And the honey is very therapeutic on a lot of levels. It's an energy thing, though. I'm not sure at nights the the best time because of the jump up you're going to get to your pancreas and the insulin release. You might get a little jazzier than you normally would need to be. But, hey, you can balance it with a piece of cheese. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Just have the cheese after the honey.
Yeah, it sounds really good
Kelly,
with like
what are you holding up there?
smoked Gouda. I think would go really well with honey.
Brie
Oh,
goes
that's
with
nice.
anything. Brie goes with everything.
Yeah. Brie. Yeah.
And a little goes a long way with a piece of brie. You just spread it on something good, you know?
Caleb's joke isn't a bad idea, though. You know, keep a log, monitor what you're doing, and then you've got a case study, you've got some evidence. So I mean, that's good advice for whatever you do.
Could be a running
The
a running
cheese weight
post.
loss program.
Yeah.
Cheese weight loss program. It's going to be a ClickBank sensation. And if you add a little bit of like apocalypse to it,
And I like David's idea
cheese when the
too.
world ends. That's
I like David's too, because you could do a separate product on what not to eat, and bread might be one of the things. I don't know.
Don't eat
that's
anything
how you
with
know.
wheat in it. Don't eat anything with wheat in it. I got a whole thing, but I'm not doing it till next week.
All right. Cheese versus bread.
Yeah, no, it's cheese on something, but not necessarily on a wheat product.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Chocolate. Stick with chocolate.
Chocolate.
Yeah, the chocolate and milk is a good
chocolate diet.
thing.
Hey, you know, there
We'll
is
create a product right here.
I like the
there is a
idea
quick-
of a cheese versus something product.
Cheese takes on all comers. I like
Cheese versus comas. Cheese versus coma.
There is a ClickBank product, Caleb, for eating chocolate and losing weight.
Is there
Really?
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen
sure.
the
Yeah, I've seen that.
Have you seen the new self-help products? They're all based on the world ending and what you should have in stock.
So who the hell needs help?
Right, exactly. If it's ending, then we can just do whatever we want.
Down is
Done.
down.
On January 1st, 2013, I think their hops are going to go down. I actually just found Glennis's business card.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Oh, that's what it was.
And now I'm trying to find David's.
That's proof
Now
that
then.
we're in the same room with him. He's got evidence.
Yes.
We have video evidence too, didn't we?
Yeah, I've
We were
got
live.
several photographs taken. Yes, I do. Yeah. Yeah.
How many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is Dwa there? No.
It's the just if he was there, he left.
I've got a big button here that I press to make him disappear.
Just ask if he's there, he gets kicked out. Aw.
There you are. So my reasoning is for these 3 things to be important to me is because if I get my sleep sorted out, mainly that sets me up well for exercising. I find if I'm not getting good sleep, exercise is actually eating is great, but exercise is the hardest thing in the world. And really, you know, exercise actually governs a lot of the energy level that I have. And I, for years, didn't want to connect the 2 things together. I wanted to think that I could sit down and do my thing and lounge around and not have to, you know, really put myself out at all. The irony was, of course, that I did actually exercise quite a lot in the old days. When I was younger, I used to ride. I had a couple of horses. I used to be riding them all the time, and I got a tremendous amount of exercise without thinking about it. I played sports, and but I never actually deliberately went out of my way to exercise. Then I went to university, and then I kind of drifted into bad habits. My fitness level kept me reasonably in shape until I was nearly 30, and then it all caught up with me, boom. And then I suddenly found I had to actively manage my energy level. I couldn't just take it for granted anymore. The food I ate seemed to suddenly do different things to me. It made me bigger in the wrong places, and my sleep was all to hell. So for the last 10 or 12 years, I've been working on this area in my life, and it's a real focus of mine, to try and get this better, because I'll never get it right. I feel, but I'm always looking, how can I do it better? I try and do at least 20 minutes exercise a day, eat reasonably regularly with light meals, and just get a good night's sleep. Oh, we got Jason. Hiya, Jason. How you doing?
You could try to use your own theory, like eating heavy food, because that would be exercise.
Well, he grows a lot of his own chickens and everything anyway. So, but Paul, you're absolutely right about the first pillar has to be the sleep. That one has to be first, because you don't have the discipline to manage your food choices. What will happen is when you get too tired, you'll go to the refrigerator, open the door, and you'll eat whatever's in there just to fuel your body to keep it going so you can stay awake when you're too tired. So a lot of the eating that happens in the United States and maybe the internet community, and late at night munching that happens, is to keep the machine running when it really wants to go to sleep. So you offset the desire for sleep by eating something, and then so you're not making good food choices, and then you're so tired and full that you can't exercise, so that goes out the door. So really, the very first one would be the sleep, I think.
Yeah, no, and thanks. I mean, it's nice to get that confirmed by some other people. JC, by the way, we all kind of loosely know each other because of an online forum and kind of talk radio thing called TalkMarketingNow.com, which this feed is being fed into, as well as live on YouTube and Twitter and G+, and obviously various other places around the internet that it can get to. In TalkMarketingNow.com, in the chat room there, JC suggesting that I'm a teacher by trade, and he's suggesting I exercise by beating up pupils for 20 minutes. I'm not going to read out the next one, though, because that would probably get me in trouble. I teach media, English, French, and a bunch of other things.
French.
Un petit peu de français.
That was my worst class.
Well, it's probably my worst class too, Caleb. But anyway.
Caleb, you're Canadian. You need to know French.
I need to know one word. That's bonjour and parler en anglais.
Yeah, but your math doesn't work because that's 2.
Yeah, but maths wasn't a strong subject.
Actually, it's more than 2 because parler en anglais is 3. So
there you go.
It's 4.
The
But in
best phrase
Canada, 1 is 4.
Best phrase I learned in German was "Ich spreche nicht Deutsch, aber ich verstehe ein bisschen." And all the Germans, when they hear that, go, "Oh, it's good, good."
Yeah,
like,
Deutsch is nichts sehr schwer. Yeah.
I don't know any more German than that.
Yeah.
Komodo, in TalkMarketingNow.com, Komodo's got a question. He's in a rush, so can he ask a question? Yes, of course you can. So let's see if I can type in the room, and let's see what the question is.
I have a question.
Yeah, Caleb.
Who doesn't have a copy of this yet?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's a good book.
How many hundred are you trying to get rid of?
You get a
Brad
deal.
will cite. Brad's got a package deal on Chronic
I
Marketing.
saw that. I saw that.
Actually, you can go there through my affiliate link so I can get a 10-cent commission.
Yeah, you need to send that over to go to overstock.com and send it there.
I can't. He said people are buying 400 copies though.
Well, but you look at the package that he and Popovich put together. I mean, hell.
I mean, but imagine the shipping cost of 400, and then having these in your house. You'd have just got a stack of pothead.
It is media rate though.
If I order a copy of that, Caleb, is it going to get impounded by UK Customs?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Was that I was going to get it. But
Not if you don't light it.
Yeah, but they charge you more than for one book. They'll charge you like you bought 10 sending stuff over there.
Well, then you might as well just buy 10. Then you can
and
share
they'll charge you like they bought you sent. I mean, they like triple the cost because the VAT tax thing. It's
20%.
crazy.
You're assuming there's value, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess they are. Well, I mean, when I send stuff over, they open the box and take out whatever they want, and then they charge me $120 to get it out of Hawk. And it's stuff I send to myself, my stuff to me. They take my stuff.
That's a heavy one.
It's an expensive lesson, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to pay extra luggage going forward. That's crazy.
That's why you need to come to Canada more.
Yeah.
Guys,
Canada's nicer.
just someone popped into talkmarketingnow.com and just asked a question, and I don't know if any of you guys, this is a little departure from sleep, food, and exercise, but he asked the question. Someone wanted to know, and so guys, I don't know if any of you do AdWords or not. Does anyone here do AdWords?
What's AdWords?
The Google one.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
a healer. I don't know. That's.
No, okay.
Go ahead,
Well,
ask the question.
Komodo, I think maybe pop back another time and ask that when some of the AdWords guys are on. People like James Holmes, maybe a good person to ask that. But he wanted to know, is advertising a web hosting affiliate program directly on AdWords a good idea? I don't know.
Can you even do that? Can you even do that as a landing page? Wouldn't you have like a hosting review site?
Because you're not HostGator, Komodo, I don't think
you can't target HostGator as a keyword too.
Yeah.
Because that would be a trademark infringement.
But I think you have to.
Well, they give you the ads.
Yeah.
So I think they give you the ads. So I don't understand why you can't use their ads.
Well, it all depends on how Google. This is like everything with Google. It depends on how they're feeling when they look at your account. They're kind of like PayPal. If he's having a bad day, he just closes your account. If he's having a good day, then maybe your account stays open. Like I got the call from PayPal compliance, and I guess they were having a good day, so my account wasn't closed. But you know, I guess they were having a bad days when Air's account was closed.
Yeah.
And I mean,
is that feedback or is that an animal?
It's a baby garlic.
Yeah.
Who's a doll?
Dialect. It's part of Doctor Who series. The most insidious monster in the world, in the universe. Actually, I think it was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1963. Yeah.
I think it was the first, and it was supposed to depict in some way the image of the Nazi regime.
In a way, yeah.
Yes.
It was that was a lot of the uniforms that they wore on the planet where they made them as well.
Right, but it was also the whole idea about how they were unified in the destruction of something, and they were, you know, soulless creatures, etc. And
yeah, they're supposed to be pure hatred. They kind of ruined it by making some of them a bit touchy-feely more recently, but you know.
Yeah, not that I watch any of that stuff, but.
Gary wants to know, is it true you have to watch Doctor Who if you live in the UK? Yes, Gary. It's a condition of entry. If you try and come into the country and you fail that test, they put you on the plane and you have to go back.
And you have to riot too.
Yeah.
And then you will be exterminated.
Yeah.
Guys, this is the second time that we've done this. So let's just stop and take stock, because a few of you have popped up and have been saying, wow, what's all this? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people in the room. Okay, we've got George, our producer, working behind the scenes, feeding this directly into talkmarketingnow.com. We've got Andy, we've got Caleb, we've got David, we've got Glennis, we've got Jason, we've got me, we've got Scott, and we've got Wah. Now, Wah is due up for doing a presentation, and he's been having internet problems. So, we might play for the second week running. Can you guess what Wah might talk about tonight? But I'm hoping that we'll be able to hear from him in person, because we've seen him pop up a couple of times tonight. It'd be nice if we could get him soon. But anyway, while we're waiting for Wah, what we've been basically just talking about is you've got to get your basics right before you go and do anything more advanced. I see a lot of people do this all the wrong way around, and they get caught up in all the complicated stuff about, you know, I don't know, making a product, or they're talking about, is this word better than that word? And they bog down in all the minutiae of things, and then you see them next week and they're falling apart because they've not got their basic schedules right. They're not eating well, they don't get any exercise, they've got no energy, and they're not sleeping. And really, this little hour slot for me tonight was all about take care of yourself. Take care of your basics.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Jeez. Scott choking on a puff.
Isn't that one of your electric ones, though, Scott? That's an electric one.
It is. It is. It's really more I'm choking on the coffee that I'm still trying to keep down.
Where are you, Scott? Where are you?
Where am I? I am in the game room in my basement.
In what state?
Indiana. I thought you meant like
okay.
precisely where am I?
No.
Coordinates.
Coordinates, please, yeah.
I didn't know you could choke on an electric cigarette.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when it's
They're
bubblegum
they're
flavored,
dangerous.
you get it stuck. Candy cigarettes are great.
I like the
Is that
wax
the one where the end lights up?
It is. It
Is
is.
it a blue one or a red one?
No, it's green.
Green. Oh.
Green.
That's so you don't get kicked out of places where people say you're smoking because it looks too real. The ones that look too real, people were getting thrown out of buildings and stuff. So now they make them like other colors. So it's obvious you're not really smoking a green-ended cigarette.
I think I saw Glennis smoking one of those in Raleigh.
You did?
You were like...
Actually, oh my God, everybody had these different ones and different flavor cartridges in them, and they were passing around. It was so funny. We're all like, well, that one doesn't taste like anything. And then there's actually smoke and everything. And then they were blowing smoke rings with the fake cigarettes. It was a blast. And we could do it inside. Inside fun. Healthy smoking.
I can't imagine Pink Floyd passing a bunch of green-ended cigarettes around amongst themselves.
So that's what the smoke rings were. I looked over and I just saw, woo.
You know who's really good at it? Wa's really good at it.
You were with Wa at the time, I think.
Yeah. There was another guy there who was really good too, but I don't remember his name.
Does Brad Goss's book have anything to say about these electric cigarettes?
Well, it doesn't go into that, but it does go into porn, dropping out of school, smoking pot, Google SEO, embracing your laziness, playing Xbox, smoking
And they
weed.
have recipes in the back, right?
No, but you know, if you're doing it on Amazon, I guess you could order another book with it. You could get Ron Douglas's book, and then you'd have some recipes.
Recipes, yeah.
And mix them with Brad's recipes, so then it would work out well. He actually has a recipe book, though, his wife.
JC's talking in capitals to us, guys.
He always types in
wants
capitals.
to give a bit more attention to Komodo's question about the AdWords adverts for HostGator. I think when we answered it earlier on, I think we were agreeing that you couldn't, you were going to be restricted on the words you could use because you couldn't pass yourself off as them. You couldn't direct link to their site. You'd have to go through your own site. So when you say, Komodo, that can you do it directly, I think that's the sticky point for us.
I'm
what do
sure.
you mean by direct?
I'm sure there's something in HostGator's terms about whether you can use AdWords on their domain.
You can't mention the word HostGator. I think they emailed out recently to say what you could and couldn't say, and I think they were quite clear.
They changed their payouts too.
Yeah, and we have to be really careful about what we're saying because it's going out, everywhere.
I'm scared.
I'm like,
Exactly.
I use the word PayPal. That's a buzzword.
oh yeah, we've got a bunch of words
No,
now. I think it's very-
We haven't said anything contentious or libelous.
We said Google though. We said Google.
But Caleb, we do have to be on the G Plus Hangout channel going out through YouTube. As George may have explained to you, we do have to abide by the terms of service for every single outlet channel that we use.
He gave me this long chat about it, you know. He's like, no copyrighted music.
Yeah.
No T-shirts with names on it. Look at, he's got stuff. Yeah.
See, that's actually, there's no problem there. That's they want that.
Oh well, darn.
I think that's a little bit ridiculous. Now I'll have to get a T-shirt with my name on it so that we.
There you go.
That is your name, isn't it?
Let's say that it is.
Let's say it. Let's say it. It's your nickname. It's your nickname.
Now then, according to my eyes, if they don't deceive me, there's Wart is in the room, but his screen's blanked out. What do you think?
Can you
I
talk?
think he's here.
His Skype is showing as offline,
Ah,
but he might have turned it off to make it. Why? I mean, he might have turned it off. Remember last time he turned off everything in order to get on?
oh yeah.
See, he's offline and I'm on wine. So.
Oh, there you go.
This is just like David in person.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I recognized him, by the wine.
Okay, so we have a bunch of people watching us on YouTube. I don't know how many. Don't know if George can see. And so this is only the second time we've done this experiment. I think this is the most people we've had in the room. And
I think you're right. Yeah.
Most people in the room, and we got 7 people on YouTube.
Cool. That's great. We have not even advertised, and people are there. Lovely.
George advertises. He spams everyone. Oh, I guess I can't say that. We're streaming. I forgot.
So, we've got a bit of an international panel here. We've got Andy from the north of the UK. We've got Caleb from, where are you, Caleb? Are you the Toronto side of Canada?
No, but I was there a few weekends ago for a conference.
Oh,
I
whereabouts
actually live
are you?
near Ottawa.
Is that
few
kind of
hours
top
from there.
left?
Left the Canada.
I'm not really sure. It's where the capital of Canada is, anyway. Pretty close to there.
Okay.
Tom.
David, where are you?
Northeastern Pennsylvania. We talked about this last week. I'm about 45 minutes from Glennis.
Depend on.
Mm-hmm. And then Glennis, you're in.
I'm outside of Allentown in this little village called New Tripoli. It's at the base of the Blue Mountains where the Appalachian Trail is.
And I'm actually on the edge of the Poconos.
There you go.
Jason, where are you?
I am coming at you from Orlando, actually Winter Park. It's I don't know, probably 15 miles northeast of Orlando.
Cool. Scott, you just said, didn't you?
Yeah, Indiana. Bean Blossom, Indiana.
And you know, this is the terrible thing now, my geography, I don't actually remember which part of America Indiana is in.
Midwest. We are below Lake Michigan. Yeah. Maybe about a third of the way across the country, east to west.
Okay, so you're sort of below Minnesota.
That is northwest of us.
Below Illinois, right?
Below, next to Illinois.
Oh.
But Chicago, pretty much touches the northwest corner of the state. That's where Gary, Indiana, and Chicago then is, as soon as you cross the border.
Gary's beautiful.
Yeah.
Are you close to Gary, Indiana?
I am not. No, I'm south of Indianapolis, about 20 miles. Indianapolis is right in the center of the state.
Yeah, Indianapolis 500. Where are you from, Paul?
I'm from Wales. Actually, I grew up in Essex in England, but I live in Wales now, so I'm flying the flag for that part of the country. And Wa is in Coventry, which is in the middle of England. So,
and he's here now, too.
Well, yay! Look at that. We've invoked you, Wa.
I think I've finally got on. I don't know. Firefox kept on crashing, so I only had Firefox on this computer, so I downloaded Chrome, and hopefully it won't crash.
Wow, you look bigger online. You look bigger than you do in person. You look pretty tiny in person. You look bigger online.
which is the opposite to you, Caleb.
I look that small? I'm only like 6'1" or 6'3".
So, how's Jason Anderson as well? Hey, how you doing,
hey,
mate?
how you doing? I'm doing great. Wow, how you doing, man?
Yeah, good. So, I kind of heard little bits of what you guys were chatting about, and I think it was just I just heard the bits where we were just saying where we were from, and yeah, I visited Paul in Wales. And we hung out for a weekend, which was pretty good. So, okay, I'm getting funny noises again. But
Caleb,
yeah,
booted out, I think.
Right.
So, what were you going to talk to us about tonight?
Well, I think some of the things I was going to talk about was what I wanted to do.
And technical problems.
Yeah, that's the one. Was some of the things that we wanted to I wanted to talk about was, you know, it's beyond positive thinking, and you know, and how you have to mind your mind, and just, you know, just positive thinking as a thing doesn't actually just work, because, you know, especially with things like The Secret, you know, it's, you know, if you can imagine it, it doesn't necessarily you know, become. But, you know, I am a great believer of you know, you are the master of your own universe. So, you know, whatever your thoughts and actions are is what you actually create. So that's the kind of things I wanted to talk about, if that's okay, and if I don't get technical issues again, is, you know.
Okay, who did that? Go ahead, Wa.
So that was so there were some of the things that I wanted to you know, chat on, and obviously get your input onto things like that. You know, is, you know, what do you guys think about you know, the thought implant that you put into your mind? Because, you know, I almost think that you know, just like a healthy diet for the body, that you need a healthy diet for the mind, because some of the things, it's the input that you put in. You know, if you put good stuff in, you get good stuff out. So what were your thoughts on that type of thing?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. I used to think that I was really good under pressure. Things got done when I had deadlines. I mean, all the way back to high school, I can remember, you know, I got pretty good grades, and the reason being is because I would actually, you know, I would slack off all the way until the very end, and then, you know, I'd write my paper, or I would, you know, do whatever. But it was, you know, when you're focusing and you're thinking about whatever you need to really, really focus on, it's amazing what the mind will do. And if you can train yourself to not be lazy and take the easy route until things are critical, then I think that you can always have, you know, successes every day. And I really, you know, take that back from my high school lessons of just, you know, being able to pass like ridiculous science stuff and things like, just by, you know, studying really, really hard and focusing hard. You know, I truly believe that. I don't know if there's a lot of people who don't believe in that, but I think what the problem is people don't practice it on a daily basis, and I know I don't. it's the thing that holds you back is your thoughts, actually. I think that we spend more time thinking about the negative repercussions than we think about the positive stuff. So it's certainly a good topic to talk about tonight. I don't think you're going to have anybody disagree with you, but I think the hardest part is getting people to actually take action on it every single day.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's it's a remaining focused and day after day, where you come out ahead. I found myself a lot of times going from one day to the next with a different priority, and I focus on that, but then the other things suffer. So it's probably a matter of doing too many things at once, and then also determining that there's got to be some time to slack off.
Absolutely. I think that you definitely have to have that, Scott. I think you need to have the time. You were talking earlier, Paul, about how people they're not getting enough sleep. They're not doing, they're staying up all hours, and they're just grasping at a bunch of things and they're looking for some answers. When you don't have the sleep and you don't take care of your body, you don't eat right, you don't exercise, you don't have all those things. The reason why you don't do that is because you feel like you're under pressure. Like back in high school, I've got this deadline. I need to make some money. I need to get out of my job. I need to pay my bills. Whatever the pressure is that makes you stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning, even though you got up at 9 o'clock in the morning the day prior. That stuff does not help you. And I think the reason why you're up till 4 o'clock in the morning, if you're anything like me, I'm talking in the wrong webcam here. I think if you're anything like me.
There you go.
Oh. I just thought maybe you just like to look at wanted to only show what that side.
No, yeah, I was having trouble hooking this thing up, so I put this little portable one. Anyways, I think the problem that people have is that I lost my track of thought. I can't remember what the problem people have. Where was I at?
Not enough sleep.
Oh,
I
haven't slept for 24 hours. I'm sorry.
That was our first test, by the way.
They can't focus.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so I think that's because, and the reason why I'm saying all that is because that was me. That's I'm speaking from experience, and I think that almost everybody here in this room probably has experienced that. That's why we talk about it. But if you're up till 4 o'clock in the morning, something is wrong. And what's wrong is you're getting distracted by the things that do allow you to take that reprieve from your mind, thinking about the problems or thinking about you're having the little technical glitches that you just can't seem to figure out, and you keep going, and then so you check your email, you check the easy stuff, you get on a Hangout or something, you do those things. If you focus, if you just do 8 hours just like you would for a business. And literally turn off your email, turn off your phone, turn off and have your to-do lists and actually accomplish those things every single day like you do have a deadline, and check your emails later on. I think that if you can manage your time, you're not going to be up till 4 o'clock in the morning every single day, and a lot of us do it. A lot of us on this little thing Hangout still do it. It's out of habit.
It comes down to sustainability, because what we do is we actually voluntarily and intentionally leave the thing that you really need to get done for the day to the end, so that you have to do it. And for the rest of the day, you're doing other things, the easier things like Jason was saying. And then you have to do the one thing, and now you're under deadline pressure and you're tired, so your adrenals fire. And when your adrenals fire, you think you've got a powerful mind involved here, because when your adrenaline's flowing, your body thinks it's in fight flight. So when you can get that to activate because you've pushed through the desire to sleep, you've pushed through the aspect of, oh, I can get a decent night's sleep, and you start to panic because the thing that you didn't do hasn't happened yet. Now you have to do it at the end of the day. So your adrenals fire, you feel real empowered, and you think you're really putting out good work fast. Well, it's an illusion, because when your adrenals fire and you're in fight flight, which is, and I'm sure David has a lot will have input on this too, because he's very informed on these kinds of things. But when you have fight happen, you only get the decision of, I'm running from a tiger, I can go up a tree or into water to save myself. And you only get two choices, one way or the other, and your body is going to choose one real quick. It feels decisive and incisive, but it's not, because you don't have the myriad of creative choices. You have a survival choice. And you feel sharp and focused, but it actually cuts down on your ability to create. And you put yourself in that situation purposefully so that you can make yourself do something when you're really out of gas. So you fire those adrenals and you make that choice. And we all think we're doing good work then, and we're not. We're cutting our creativity exponentially. It's not sustainable in the long run. And be healthy.
So what's David's into that now then? Everybody else has had a...
I'm going to give you a scientific opinion here. I agree. No, I mean, no, it's true. I mean, when you have that much adrenaline in your system, you are going to become laser focused on saving your ass or getting some, depending on which side of the which side of that this adrenaline you're on. But getting back to something that was said earlier, it's about how you become creative or where creativity appears to come from. We talked about this last week a little bit. You know, that statement about 90% of your brain is not used or 99% of your brain is that is actually a bunch of BS. Your brain is being used all the time. You just aren't in the place that it's being used. It comes to you through consciousness, and a lot of what we have as creativity is not direct. It is emergent. And so one of the ideas that's been out for a number of years about the tortoise and the hare, there is an important idea about having downtime, in that you aren't forcing your conscious nature to focus on a particular problem, solution, etc. It's really important for the rest of your brain to figure it out or to work on it, in a sense, without your conscious mind being involved. So it's important to have break time for a lot of good reasons. And by the way, we were talking about this much earlier. That's one of the current ideas about the importance of sleep, is that it provides you with that opportunity to be non-physically engaged and yet have creative thoughts. So you can fly, which you obviously can't do in the normal physical world of your own volition. Except for making spots on the ground, I suppose. But in your sleep, you can do all sorts of magical things, which means that you can test the limits of different, different thought patterns, etc., that you would tend not to do in a waking state, and you're not bound to them. And those people that are, by the way, are diseased. Those are the people that flail around or get up and start walking around as somnambulists or drive cars and kill people, etc. But they're still actually asleep. But that part of their brain, it becomes engaged with their imaginary thinking, in effect. And they've actually done this with cats, which is sort of an abuse, I think, where they wired up cats and they jumpered the systems between their thinking while they were asleep and their muscular system. So these cats were actually engaged, and you could see the cat jumping around and doing things. Not that it looks much different in real life, but they were actually engaged in their dreams as if they were seeing things in front of them, but they were asleep. So it's important to have downtime in that sense, and let the bigger part, in a sense, of your brain to exercise and to have at it. Our conscious nature is wonderful, obviously, but it is incredibly limited in terms of its power. Working memory is even smaller than most people think. There was something developed a number of years ago about 7 plus or minus 2. Well, that number is actually too big. We can't keep that many things in line, and that's actually an interesting point about copy. If you want to have a small section of copy, like bullet points or something like that, you should try to keep it down to about 4. Not 7 plus or minus 2. 4 at a time, break them apart. Chunkable.
So our consciousness is kind of like a Commodore 64 computer, is what you're saying.
Not much bigger. And some days worth about that much.
Yeah.
CPM.
Well, I haven't heard that in a long time.
CPM?
CPM, yeah.
Yeah.
And the pip files and.
Yep.
Wow, that's been 30 years maybe.
Yeah.
Close to it since I touched one of those.
Was nearly the operating system. If I guess the story was that I forget the guy's name, Brickman or something like that. Somebody showed up at his house and his wife turned him away, and it was the IBM guy looking to buy their operating system from him.
Right. Yeah, I heard a very similar story that they like snubbed IBM and they went to Bill Gates and history was made.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I just lost it again. I just overheard the last part of that. Sorry, who turned down the operating system and then Bill Gates took over?
It was the now I can't remember the name of the company that owned it, but it was a CPM operating system. That was it was really a little more Unix-like, but it was pre-DOS. It was pre-Microsoft, and it was what ran on microcomputers. And I don't know if Commodore 64 had that, but it was. I know it was on a Zenith machine that that I worked on prior to the IBM PC coming out. Had a Z80 chip in it, as I recall. Pretty powerful machine, pretty powerful operating system.
I have a Sinclair.
One of the old Timex Sinclairs, you still have it?
Yes, and mine's actually got regular keys. Well, I say regular. It's got, it doesn't have those little bubble keys.
Perhaps I've got an Amstrad portable computer that folds out. The keyboard folds down from it. The screen pops up. It was my first laptop. I bought it in 1989.
Does that have the floppy disks on both sides?
It does. It doesn't have a hard drive. It had two 720K floppies.
Yeah.
It still boots Windows, runs Excel, and CompuServe from two 720K floppy disks.
Right.
So essentially one full-size normal today.
And it has that funky handle, so it sort of looks like a big lunchbox. It weighs about as much as a bowling ball.
That was the Commodore, or not the Commodore, but the Compaq luggable.
Oh, that was another one. Yeah,
like a bowling ball. Yeah. This looks more like a keyboard, like an organ, with the little pop-up screen. If I pulled it out now, that's what people would think that it was. But
you should carry it around. You know, go in public with it someplace. Just pop that thing open, look like you're working. You know. Tape an antenna to it so that you can show you got Wi-Fi.
Show you got Wi-Fi, yeah.
Bring your brick phone with you.
I had something I wanted to add to the, pardon me, I don't know anything about these computer bits, so I can't participate in that part, but I can add to the going from sleep into action piece. In Taoism, they've always said that great action comes from stillness first. And so we had been talking about the mind and creating, the thoughts and resting, and Paul's whole concept with that. So, the focus of Tuesdays is to create success in people's lives and keep them motivated towards creating whatever that is for them. Because for people, success is very different. Everybody has their own ideas of what a life of success, that their dreams would be. And Paul brought up this really great point about sleep being one of the main pillars, and then we talked about it, and food and exercise and all that, and it still comes down to being the main pillar. And then when you take it one step further, it's stillness. Anytime you're still, from stillness, whether it be sleeping or meditating or just laying in the sun, any kind of stillness creates the opportunity for action. And what you were saying, David, about how the brain works from that place when you can sort of leave out the conscious thought, that's where creativity happens. And it's also where you handle stress from. So, you know, Paul, you were talking before about bringing everything down to simplicity, and I'm just trying to kind of grab the threads of all this stuff together here so we stay on point with the focus of what we're trying to create here. But the threads of it are all coming down to stillness being the key. Yeah? And
so one of the best things that you can do, and Paul was asking this earlier on, is actually learn how to do some type of meditation and try to do it periodically, regularly. Not necessarily well, I say that because I don't practice meditation on a regular time schedule, but I will be meditative throughout the day at different times. Mm-hmm. Where I will not have the narration.
And by that you mean like a guided meditation, or you just are in stillness?
Just in stillness.
Yeah.
And now.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and of course I would agree with that because I have a meditation site, perfectdayeveryday.com, which is a meditation site, and it's actually brings positive psychology and meditation skills together. Because and you know, Paul is a member, but of Perfect Day Every Day, and so he knows what that's all about. But the pillar comes out to be the same no matter how you frame it, whether you're talking about physical being, emotional being, or spiritual being. Stillness is an access to all of it. It's the portal. And so in your simplification, Paul, that's it, stillness.
That's what I was kind of moving towards, because if you're not a meditator, you know, I'm just thinking, you know, there might be people roaming around on the internet who are listening into us, and they have no idea about, you know, meditation or you know, which parts of the body get affected by which techniques. And well, as far as they're concerned, there's just this thing called sleep, and there's this thing called relaxation. And you know, I'm curious about what message that we can give out to people who are just kind of at that stage, so that it makes sense to them. But you know, they don't get into all the complicated stuff yet. But maybe they get interested and they do that next.
Right. Well, so the best thing I can say for that is there are activities that we've all done over our lives where your edges drop, where you are no longer aware of who you are as a being. You're like you don't feel your physical body anymore. For me, it's laying in. As soon as I feel the sun hitting my skin, and I like to read in the sun, but as soon as I feel the sun hitting my body or even the top of my head, I can just like veg out and I'm gone. Like I'm just gone. I feel the warmth. I'm like, oh, it feels so good. And then I am no longer in that body. I don't know where I go, but I don't feel it anymore. I'm just luxuriating in not in this like place that I go to because of sunlight. Now other people do it when they're hiking. They're just walking one foot in front of the other and then they leave. You know, they don't feel their edges. Or artists, they leave when they're drawing or creating. People have all these different places where they can access, and they've all experienced it. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how to meditate. You know, and the meditators, the experienced meditators, make it sound like it's like some hard thing to get to. It isn't. Stillness, even if you know nothing about meditation, know nothing, just being still will give you a huge amount of access to what we're talking about, even if you don't know anything about what you're doing. Nothing. Just be still. With, you know, and if you have white noise on because you've got a noisy household, fine, to, you know, to kind of, because a lot of people are like, can't sit still, or there's things that are distracting them, sound things, and until you get to be a little bit more sure of what you're doing, sometimes that sound can keep you from getting into your meditative state where you can sort of do that checkout where you don't feel your edges anymore. My site has guided meditations. There's like lessons, so it's for very, 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 very beginners. But it also It's also a collaboration with positive psychology, so that there's science that's being melded in with the sort of the ancient wisdom, which appeals to a lot of beginners because they can understand it better. And then I give them little things to take out with them during the day so that they can use it right away and create from what they just did in the morning with the little tools. So it fills a lot of bills in trying to go from physical being to self-actualized being, and in 26 little lessons. So, and that's just an entry-level tool. It's just a beginning. It's a departure, a platform, and that's what it's there for. It's to support somebody who doesn't know anything about this and wants it to be not related to any other particular religious belief system. It's just vanilla, but it works. Working vanilla. Yummy all on its own without anything added to it.
It's like you in your own skin, isn't it? It's just sort of being yourself, and no matter what the context is. Yeah.
Right.
Glenn Sibber, I did a lot of travel where I would have like long drives, and I'd turn the radio off and I'd think, and also just in my daily commute when I was working in Indianapolis, it was an hour each way. I'd find that if I had that time where I wasn't doing something physically other than driving, I had to be alert and aware of what was going on there. But if it's on the interstate, it gave me time to think, and I could break problems apart better, and then I seem to be more productive. And I think I lack that now. I don't have the time where I have like a dedicated window where I can't do anything else. All I can do is think.
Right, right. A lot of people, if you ask them when they're most creative, you know what they say? When they're in the shower, because they're not doing anything. Have you ever gotten in the shower? You guys, let me ask you this. It's kind of a personal question. George will love this because I'm asking where everybody's going to be visualized naked. So, of course, it's coming from me. But you're in the shower. You're standing in there under the water. Have you ever checked out and, you get out and you're like, oh, my goodness, I've been in here for 45 minutes. What was I doing? And you think, well, darn it didn't seem like 45 minutes. Well, that's a checkout. And that's where you did your stillness. You did it in the shower with the water beating on you. It feels good. So how many of you guys do that? How many? Let's just see a little poll here.
Nope.
Andy? Jason, yes? Paul, yes? No. And Jason, no? Is that a no? You don't check out the shower?
No.
No?
Sometimes, but usually my showers are quick and dirty,
Well, quick and clean, hopefully.
Yeah. I'm in there. I get the work done and I'm gone. Yeah.
Well, I used to live in the country, and I would actually take bucket showers, if anybody knows what those are, down at the creek. And like that, I tell you, in the spring, that was really not that good.
No.
You couldn't handle that, actually.
No. I know my grandmother used to do it that way when I was a little kid. She didn't have, we had to go out and do those little crank well thing,
Yes.
Yeah, and that water's cold. That's well water. That was cold, yeah.
55 degrees, yeah.
What about you, Andy? Do you check out in the shower?
No, I like quick showers and long baths. Oh. But I haven't had either since I got in that big bag of Vaseline. I'm just staying in.
We should add that was last week. That was last week's healthy tip.
A point of reference might be good.
That was from Paul. That was Paul's beauty tip last week. Put yourself in a bag of Vaseline. It's good for your skin. It makes nice and soft.
Makes the water run right off.
Yeah.
Just watch out when you get in the shower or the tub. It's slippery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
not promoting that as a safety tip.
We did agree not Vaseline, though, didn't we?
Do we agree that that's a petroleum product, so it's probably not the best? Maybe like coconut oil or something, sesame oil, something a little more human body friendly to be absorbed into your skin.
Human body? Like a bag of coconuts and arms.
Here he goes. He's winding up now. Okay, so of the group, Paul, you and I are the only ones that meditate in running water, and Andy, he likes to do it in a bathtub, and then
Actually,
else takes a quick shower.
meditating, I like sound for my meditating. But where I live, when the wind gets to a certain level, you can hear it bouncing off the walls of the house that estate opposite. And it sort of goes out of phase with itself. And it makes a really cool effect. And I like to listen to that for as long as I can, really. I can go into a deep trance listening to the wind do that. It's a top tip.
Cool.
I'm whenever anything hits my head, basically, that's when I tend to zone out. And so any kind of head massage. I have this. Are you all prepared for this? Can you all see this?
You brought your electric mixer to the.
No.
This thing is like a head massaging thing, and
Yeah.
if I do it to myself, it doesn't quite have the same effect. If someone else does this to me, I'm
Sure.
gone.
I went to a
gone.
Catholic school and I got plenty of head massages.
Oh, I don't think those are called head massages. I think you were being struck.
Blackboard erasers.
Well, it all came home in 8th or in 4th grade when we got our big world geometry books, and the nun would use that. She'd walk up the aisle, of course, while you couldn't see her, and you would get a whack on the back of the head from about an 8-pound book. So
Nice.
I learned geometry, by earthquake.
In Taoism, we call that bamboo. The Taoist priests with them. They in China they will hit you with a stick of bamboo. They'll carry it and they will reach into the class and just whack you with either behind the legs and make you fall, like behind your knees or something. In China, they would do this. And, well, when they came over to the United States, they started hitting the Americans. It didn't go over big here, so now they would scream, "I bamboo you at you."
Are you listening, Paul? You can use this in class, Paul. You should check that out.
Wait, for full disclosure, I teach at a Catholic school.
With bamboo?
And,
you have bamboo? Yeah.
We don't do any of these things.
Teaching with bamboo. There's a product.
Yeah, there you go. And I can see the graphics on it. It'll be really nice and fresh and green. You make those little tiny book pictures. You can put on your website.
Little accents of red spatters and splatters.
I like the idea that you
Red
you
streaks,
say,
yeah.
I bamboo you.
Yeah.
I like that. And it kind of reminds me of paintballing when you get too close to your opponent and you can't fire. Health and safety regulations mean you can't fire the gun and you have to say, bang, or de-surrender or something else. So I like this. I bamboo you.
Well, it's easier for them to say they're disciplining you when you get bambooed. Like when they go, "I bamboo you!" So you're still embarrassed. You're just like, "Oh God, I got bambooed." You're like, "Oh God." And I was when I was taking Tai Chi the first bit, the priest that I was studying with, the Taoist priest from Wudang Mountain, he goes, "I don't understand. You know how to dance. Why you suck? You suck." Granny, you suck. Oh, I'm bambooed.
I bamboo you, American.
So, after a while you just go, "Oh, I got bambooed," and everybody's like, "Oh," because it's almost for Americans to have somebody do that in front of a group of people, and a lot of them you don't even know. It's pretty embarrassing. So, everybody's like, "Oh, you got bambooed. I'm so sorry." And they don't have to touch you. Just yell, "I bamboo you" at you. It's like we've been struck. But you haven't used any profanity or anything. So it's totally like, okay. As far as I know, bamboo's not a no word.
I'm going to try that in class.
The
kids won't understand a thing. They wonder they think I've gone crazy.
Don't forget, there was the big bamboo.
Oh.
Cheech and Chong.
Oh. You know you're right.
Yeah.
That's
I
relaxing.
better be careful.
Papers.
Yeah.
Rolling papers. The big bamboo.
Okay. Yeah. See, I forgot about that. I'm going back, in historical China. So
I remember it because I wrote it down. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember it.
That's not why.
I think Tommy Chong was from historical China. Or he definitely spent time there.
So, I guess we've lost Wah again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's not on anywhere.
My chair's got wheels, which means if I put it on one of those treadmill things, that's doing exercise without actually moving. What a fantastic idea. If I take the wheels off, I'll just fly off the front of it and hit the wall.
You could turn that into a kind of resistance exercise, couldn't you? If you made the wheels move in tiny movements all over the place, so you had to sit there and keep the chair still. That's a good workout.
It's like
Almost
a Pilates
isometrics,
thing,
yeah.
bragging. Yeah. Well, you know what you could do, and I've talked about this before because I have a reputation for this, talking about balls. Those big ones that you can sit on, because when you do that, if you sit on a giant inflatable ball at your desk, for everybody who's sedentary, when you sit on the ball, you have to engage your core muscles to actually stay on the ball, otherwise you fall off and break your face on your desk. So there's a little bit of that, kind of like self-survival thing. You got to keep your balance, and the thing's rolling around a little bit. You kind of have to keep readjusting, but it's really good for core building if you have a big enough ball and your desk isn't too high.
You could build your desk onto the front of a unicycle and get the same effect.
Great.
Or an office pedalo. Move your office into a pedalo on a lake and just pedal all day while using your laptop. You keep
Right,
fit.
well,
Glennis, we're only 4 minutes off the top of the hour, Glennis. Do you want to tell everybody what you were going to be talking about in a couple of minutes?
What am I?
Or is it a secret?
Oh no, it's not a secret. I don't have any secrets.
Oh, it's in the email.
Huh?
It's in the email.
It's in the email. I'm talking about, who did we just lose there?
Jason.
Oh, bye, Jason. On my show, we're going to talk about perfect prosperity and the FX6, the neuropositive phenomenon. And I have to attribute that. The name of that came from a little conversation I was having with Andy, and you know how he he shoots stuff, like it's just like give him a little something, and he just flies away with it, and it's like great, and it's like, oh, that's a great name for this. Can I use that? And he's like, sure. It's like, oh, it sounds so scientific. I like that because my stuff's usually kind of woo-woo sounding, and meditation, Taoist priest, healing stuff. But this sounds like macrocosmic physics or something nifty.
Macrocosmic physics.
Well, in my world, And that's all
Mind warp. Thinking at the speed of mind warp, yeah.
There you go. There you go. That's a good one, too. Mind warp. Formula FX6, mind warp. Sounds great. We should have a little thing and make up names for it. Something nifty. Something, because one of the biggest self-help sites on the internet, which has some really interesting names. I can't say them because I can't say them, but their stuff doesn't say anything about meditation, but that's what it is. But they've packaged it in something. They've used a different name and called it something scientific, and has made it incredibly popular and a hot topic. And because people have a preconceived idea of what meditation is, and as a result of that, they won't do it. I mean, I have New Yorkers who, if you make them sit for 2 minutes, they're about ready. They're like, I want to meditate. I want to meditate at the end of my session tonight. I want to meditate. I'm like, okay, well, how much time would you like to meditate? Oh, like 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That'd be good. I don't think I can sit longer than 3 minutes. 3 minutes is good. 3 minutes, and that's how they talk. They talk that fast. I'm like, okay, we'll meditate for 3 minutes. Okay, that'll be good. Quick, get on the table. We're going to do it now. Like, get all these 3 minutes of meditation. I normally get situated, and then they're like, okay, that's all I can do. I can't.
You have a meditation class full of attention deficit sufferers.
You've got there's a whole industry in this if you just think micro meditation.
Yeah, there you go.
Micro meditation.
For people with no time or attention.
Exactly. Micro meditation. Okay, there we go. That would be a good one too. I'm going to write that. Can I use that too? Anything I get here, can I use?
You can try.
Meditation for busy people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Meditation for and they're like, my hips hurt, my ankles hurt, my back hurts. I can't do this. I can't do it. And you start them off, and I tell them tuck their chin, whatever. And when they get done, they look like when bunny rabbits, little baby rabbits, when they get freaked out, they raise their chin. So when I open my eyes 2.5 minutes later, they're like this. They look like somebody's hung them. I'm like, oh my God, it's like. So this can't be. And I'm always like, we need to spend more time on this. You need to not like. You can't do it like you're running in and getting a coffee. You have to like allow your body to settle down and then like allow it to happen. And they're really, I mean, they try so hard. They're so cute, but they definitely really a little bit stricken because the idea of being alone with themselves is horrifying. It's horrifying. They don't want to be alone with themselves. My God, they might actually find something out about themselves that they don't want to know. In that moment, they might know something, find something out. They might see something about themselves, like
Maybe
seeing
not.
their own rear end. It's a horrible thing. Have you ever seen your own rear end? It's terrible. So, yeah, meditation. Anyway, any input on that front, I would love to have. Micro, mini meditations.
Do you still take power naps, Paul? Your power sleep?
Yeah.
Are they still working in your old age?
Oh, no. Oh. You're not very old, are you?
No, he's not old. But he's older than the last time I knew he took a power nap.
No, 41 still. Yeah, I still do power naps. I find that they kind of the best ones last around the same length of time that I tend to do my meditations. So if I'm doing an unstructured meditation, I'll just meditate for 20 minutes. I'll set an alarm clock for 21 minutes time, give myself a minute to get ready, and then 20 minutes meditation.
So what do you prefer, the meditation or power nap method of getting energy?
Meditation.
Yeah.
Beats power nap, hands down every time. So.
Good. Makes sense to me.
Cool. Well, so shall I segue into Was not here, but hi, Erin. Welcome. Hi. Oh, good. We can
hear
you.
Erin.
Oh, good. I guess I'll segue into what my show content is going to be. So, hi, George. So welcome to The Spiritual Entrepreneur. This is Perfect Prosperity, Formula FX6, the neuropositive phenomenon attributed to Andy McGinty and his brain. But we can have a different name if you guys come up with something better. So we have a lot of binds here. Maybe we can come up with something better. And the FX6 is F times 6, which are the 6 Fs. 6 Fs of perfect prosperity. And they are to fly, to have faith, flow, fun, future, and freedom. Those are the 6 F's. And how you know, it's funny. We always think of F's as being a bad thing because we have the grade system here. Do you guys have that there in Wales and stuff? So you have A, B, C, D, E, F. I mean, well, no E's. A, B, C, D, F, right? A, B, C, D, F.
No, we have E's. We have G's. We have H as well.
Oh my God! Is that below?
Yeah, and they actually pronounce it, by the way.
H. They can pronounce H.
Yeah. Well, they actually use it. Like say things like herb, and I use the other line that Eddie Izzard uses, but not here.
Oh yeah, I know you. So
jam.
Jam. Go there, Andy.
Covered in jam.
So you'll get me started on cake or death.
So
cake or death.
Cake or death. Yeah. Let me cake or death. Yeah, and that's for next week. That will be cake or die. Is the topic next week? Cake and die.
Cake or coma.
Yeah.
Cake and die. About wheat. This particular pet peeve of mine, and we'll talk about that next week. So that's a little preamble for then. But anyway, so when you're working on creating prosperity, and we all are, and do we all agree that prosperity has something to do with abundance and money? Do we all agree on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree that prosperity?
Abundance, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Abundance. It has to have something to do with abundance or money, because like I got the bed. I got the bed. Okay, I'm back. Why is it a bed?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
You didn't get a bed?
No, I got one just a couple of minutes ago. And
You went to sleep.
Oh.
Prosper is a process. As in, to prosper.
Yeah, so there's a crossbow on the bed?
Crossbow?
So let's just for the discussion's sake, what would be prosperity for you guys? What would that look like for you? Prosperity. What does it mean to you when something is prosperous? Is it money? Is it power? Is it just the people outside of you saying that you are successful? What's prosperity?
I don't know if I'd equate prosperity with successful. I think.
Yeah. Well, what's it for you? What is it for you?
Well, prosperity, I think of just in monetary terms. It's just a monetary thing. And I suppose it could be prosperity in other things, but that's just how I interpret it. But that doesn't necessarily, mean success or happiness or anything else. It's just a counting. Nope,
Okay,
I just got to bed.
You just got to bed.
I don't think of prosperity so much in terms of money. I actually think on the other side of it that as I don't think of money as much as I think of, let's say, wealth. And so to me, prosperity is on the progressive side of living. In other words, that I struggle less and less each day to have the wealth of being. And that would be prosperity to me.
That's lovely. Wealth of being. Oh, I like that.
You can use that one too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Anything that's said here is mine. Oh, that's the goddess speaking. Ah, golly. So what about you, Paul?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? There's an old medieval saying which goes, enough is as good as a feast. And I always think of prosperity in terms of that I have enough, but in a kind of a glass half full rather than glass half empty kind of way. You know what I mean? It's enough, and it's not barely enough. It's not just enough. Enough is it's what I want, and so I don't notice any lack of anything, and pretty much whatever I want whenever I want it, it's there.
Right.
So I guess abundance feels about right. Yeah.
And having the wisdom to recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and not be thinking. Yeah. It's actually the wisdom to recognize and gratitude, isn't it? Because when you have it and you have freedom to to do anything in your life that you dream up, that you want to do, and there's the money there to do it, and the resources there to do it. If it isn't money, whatever it would be, that abundance, then it's a good feeling because you can think it and you can implement it. And there's nothing like, oh, I can't do that because I can't afford it or I don't have the resources to allocate to that. And a lot of times, and this is kind of an interesting twist on this, is that time is the thing that we, when we're talking about prosperity and abundance, time is the only resource. It's not renewable. So you can't play if you don't have any time. So that's the other piece of it that comes into play here with how you are being in relationship with prosperity and abundance. It's an abundance of all the resources, not just the financial ones. So, and Andy, do you have one you could share? What your perception of abundance and prosperity are? Or actually,
yeah, I wrote it in the little chat thing. Does anyone ever see the chat window?
Oh, do you know what? I didn't look.
No, I didn't look. I never. Oh my goodness, 17 things in there.
Yeah.
And they're all from Andy.
No, they're not.
Yeah, the chat won't appear on the video, so if you'd need to read.
Oh right, is that why nobody uses it? Oh.
I forgot.
I didn't have the chat open either. Sorry, John.
Oh, that chat. Oh, I'm looking over at the other chat.
That is very well put, Andy.
Yeah, I always have that chat open.
Andy, you said some really interesting things in here that I never commented on because I didn't see them. Oh, so sorry.
Silent wisdom, yeah, hidden wisdom.
Yeah, totally cloaked. So what Andy wrote here is to prosper is to grow, flourish in a busy or thriving condition. So it's a process with a timeline. I think to prosper is to recognize self-progression. That's beautiful. Yeah. So everybody has their own perspective of what this is to them. So when I'm talking about what I'm going to talk about, the 6S, you kind of have to keep your own frame in mind because it's not necessarily going to be the same for everyone, how you're going to implement it. So the best way to get the most out of what we're going to talk about going forward here in the next 40 minutes or so is to frame it in your own perception, your own understanding of what prosperity really is for you. For me, when I think prosperity, it's much the same as Paul's. I want everything to be enough so that I can do whatever I want. I think there's this that I went to a Quaker school, and I think I've had ingrained in me from the trainings there that it's not good to have too much. But then on the same token, if I have too much, I can always give it away and help somebody else. And so then, and I met this guy a couple of years ago. This is kind of an interesting story. He was, he would go with he worked in South America, and he was one of those people who goes and negotiates with the guerrillas for the people they've kidnapped. So he would go in with like millions of dollars and trade the millions of dollars for the kidnapped victims. And he had a partner. There were two guys doing it. His partner ultimately got killed by the gorillas, but he's still around, my friend. And he's so funny. He has one of these dyslexic things where he gets lost going around the block. So he's out in like the jungles of the Amazon, trooping around, trying to get these gorillas to release these people. And he has to have a guide, and he has to have all these things, because if you left him by a tree stump, he couldn't get his way back to the camp. I mean, even if he could see, he has to be led everywhere, because he has no idea where he is in space. He has no idea. But brilliant, brilliant negotiator. And he said to me, I said to him, he said, I'm a millionaire, and he says, I wanted to stop doing that and just do my negotiation stuff. I don't need to make any more money. My family's taken care of. My son's provided for. I don't need to make any more money. I have millions and millions of dollars. I don't need any more. And then he said, and then I thought about it, and I thought, well, you know what, if I stop making money, because I can make money. He says, for me, making money is easy. It's really easy. And he said, but if I stop making money, if I stop the machine I have in place, and the people that work for me don't have jobs, and the charities that I donate to will not be getting their charitable donations. So, and the power that I wield in the community to get things done and make things happen, he goes, will evaporate, because I no longer am a player. I'm no longer playing the game, and my power is no longer as valid, and I don't have the resources to back it up. So as a result of that, he says, I'm going to continue to work until I can't work anymore, because I can make more of a difference in this world with my leftovers than I can if I just take my ball of yarn and go over here and I'm set. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing, because I always think about it as I just need enough, but what if I had way, way, way more than enough? What could I do with that? So you guys, what would you do if you had way, way more than enough?
I'd come here and give it to you all.
Yay!
Now that I've ingratiated myself, I feel...
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, I could certainly spend it. I know how to spend money in a good way. So what would you do? What would you do if you had prosperity to the point where you had a significant amount left over? What would be your contribution? Now, Paul, we were talking last week about sharing it out, sharing it forward, and so now on a more, this is another level of that.
Just keep it moving. I think get defeating inertia. I know that stillness is important, but I think when you've got abundance, you keep it flowing. That's what I would do, and just keep it moving out there. And do you know what comes up for me whenever I think about this, and I think about, if I had a lot of something and I gave it to someone else, there's such a transformative process going on there. When I give this thing to someone else, I'm handing over all this responsibility as well as all this potential. If I had a lot of money and I could give it to charities and to people, and I'm empowering them, but I'm also terrifying them maybe, because there's all this responsibility that comes with this abundant thing, whatever it is that I'm giving, and they have to. It's not a passive thing, It's not like I'm just going to sit here and they'll sit there and receive it. They actually have to do something. So it kind of kicks everything into motion.
So that responsibility actually starts with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Well, that's a really interesting thing to say about giving somebody like seed capital for a dream, a business of theirs, that they have to they have to carry that mantle of responsibility. And it's actually, that is the sixth, the freedom F. That's the concept of that, is how do you handle freedom, because you now have financial freedom because you have all the money you need, right? So now how do you handle that? And that's exactly, without knowing, because I've never presented this concept before ever. This is brand new. And without you having heard anything of this from me before about anything of it, you actually did the sixth F, because that is, in order to be free, you need to have, in order to implement freedom, you have to be responsible. You have to accept the mantle of the responsibility of that creation, of that path. So, yeah, and it doesn't mean sit around and do nothing. And again, so from stillness comes action. So someone has a seed company, a company that needs seed capital. They're starting from nothing. You give them the money. Now they have to take action to carry the value of that money. And and if you take it down even one level more, it really comes down to energy. And it's a transfer. Dollars is energy that you put out to make that money. And now you're handing them that energy to them that they now will be in motion as a result of that energetic pass. It's like you're tossing them an energy ball. And then they'll carry it for a while. And we all see that on TV all the time. You guys have football, we have football. We see people carrying balls all over. We all know what to do when the ball gets fast. We run with it, right? Don't you? You run one way or the other. If you run the right way, you win.
Or you give it to someone else.
You pass it off to someone else. So
keep it moving, yeah. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. So you're right. The energy stays in motion. It absolutely stays in motion. So now, does anybody else want to offer their opinion on what you would do? What would you personally do if you had resources like that? Make it real, put it out in the air to the universe.
You know, I don't know that I would change what I'm doing now.
Very nice. What do you and what are you doing now that because there are people here who probably don't know you.
Well, I do internet marketing. I host websites. I do random consulting, but I typically work from home and I work on my own terms now. But I suppose that's because I have been prosperous in the past. But I don't know. You know, it's to get into the philanthropic thing and not giving the money away. It's like, okay, that just doesn't take that long. We give a lot to charity, but it's typically like a one-day-a-year event. We know where we're going to give our money, and we give it at a set time. There are dribs and drabs here and there, but you know, probably no more volunteer work than I do now or have done in the past. So I don't. Maybe I guess I have reached. You know, I'm not striving to reach some level where it's like, oh, I don't have to work anymore. Well, I don't. I like what I do, so it's not.
So it doesn't work. Yeah, it's not work. Yeah. So yeah, you really are in the catbird seat, so to speak. And then David, you would give all your money to me. Oh, that's the way I heard it. Didn't say all of us, didn't he?
Well, you're the closest. I would just drive down, you know.
Yeah, that's right. It's easier. It's physically easier to get it.
I have to pay the VAT tax then.
Yeah, right. We don't want to pay. We have to ship it over in a box, and we have to pay that tax thing. Andy wrote in the side, which I can actually see now since I have this.
No, don't bother reading that out.
Do you want to actually share one, Andy?
What would I do if I was feeling philanthropic?
Well,
no. If you had abundance and were prosperous in that sense, right, how would you think about that abundance that you have? I mean, if you have more than you need, you know, if you have more than you need, what do you do? I
probably wouldn't think about it. I'd only think about it if something prompted me to think about it. Otherwise, it would just exist, wouldn't it?
So richness dulls the mind. Is that?
No. It would make me look more. I wouldn't be the drop cash out of a hot air balloon type, but I might, you know, chip in and build a hospital somewhere, something like that.
I'm inclined to think in some ways like Paul. I mean, I don't have that level of money kind of abundance, but if I had, like, if I won lotto or whatever, I would feel very responsible I mean, I can picture why Bill Gates does what he does.
Do you feel responsible now?
Not particularly.
No, and that's
no. And actually, I would be careful. I do help people in many different ways, and I have joined different organizations that help people in a number of different ways, and so I think that you can come to that state of enough. Where it has nothing to do with money, because the currency that we have is the action that we do in time.
That's right. So isn't it cool how this keeps coming around to taking action? It's so cool how it works that way. Because
which comes from stillness, of course.
Of course. It all comes back around. It's a big circle. Be still, get action, get money. There you go. Then you be still, you get action, then you give money away, and then you get more money. And it all keeps coming around and coming around and coming around. But the interesting piece of it is that your relationship with money and how you perceive money will dictate whether you'll pay attention to it, or whether you'll ignore it, or whether you'll give it away, or whether you'll be protective of yourself and your assets. And you know, it's very interesting to watch people of great wealth, how they decide to do what they're going to do with their money. Because what ends up happening is, like, right now, whatever we have, nobody's knocking on your door and going, I have this business, I need $200 million tomorrow, I want to start this thing. But I've met some really big time millionaires who, as soon as people find out who they are, the next thing they're being pitched a business concept, a product. Everybody is like, oh, he's a millionaire, he can afford to give me this. He can help me build my business, start my thing. And so there's a lot of people with their hand out, because there's a lot of need and desire to grow companies, et cetera, et cetera. So as soon as you have big resources, there's what ends up happening is you have to kind of be protective, because everybody is trying to skew your giving towards whatever their hot ticket thing is. And I have met a couple of millionaires, and they're under siege 24/7. Every cocktail party, every time they meet somebody, they are under siege 24/7. As soon as, because the first thing people say is blah, 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 the name, and he's a multimillionaire. And the next thing you know, they're besieged. So having resources, like not having resources, we're like little stealths. But in our own microcosms, we can have abundance beyond what we have. And we can allocate it in a lot of really creative ways to help people do amazing things. And like right now, we're allocating right now, because we're here doing this, to share out with people the possibility of abundance and what you could do with it, and what that would create in the world. What would that be like if you had more than what you needed? What would you do with it? Or more than what you could conceive of, what would you do with it? So, and everybody's got a different answer, and it's okay. All of them are right. And everybody has a place in their heart where they want to share. And we come designed that way. A lot of people don't really think about it that way, but we are designed to be sharing animals, little critters. Humans share. Now, Andy, if you're going to write stuff like that, I can't do that. And I can't read that out either. Oh, golly. He's so funny. You guys, if you're watching, you can't see it, but he is so funny. Anyway, with the 6 F's, the first one is you want to fly. And by flying in your abundance, in your prosperity, you want you want to take off. You want to go beyond what you think you can do. So set your expectations high. And when we were talking about what would you do with abundance in your life, with an extra prosperity left over, you want to set a bigger game than the one that just take care of me. Just take care of my family. Set a bigger game. And when you set a bigger game, you play bigger. And it impacts more people in a positive way than just for you. And if more of us were playing bigger games, we would help more people just from the get-go, just from the excitement of the starting of the endeavor in the very first place. So you want to try to be big in your aspirations. So like I met this woman who was from a third world country, and she was talking about that she wanted to do something really great, and she had some connections at the UN that she hadn't been using, and she set up this wonderful little group to support women's rights, and set up this craft thing for this third world country where they were making things and exporting them, so that the women who were oppressed were actually making these crafts and supporting themselves and their villages and their children. I mean, they made this huge going industry out of this one woman saying, I have connections at the UN. I'm going to go talk to them. And then she just, with a few words, got enough people to listen to her that the money started to flow and the thing started to whip. And now she's got this money-making endeavor for these women. It freed them up from oppression. It's feeding their children. She created a really wonderful nonprofit group because she thought big. And it wasn't just, oh yeah, I'm so sorry for those women down there. They're just, oppressed. It's like, I should blog about that. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, she blogged. She took herself to a place and put some things in motion by talking to some of the right contacts. So fly big. So what could you, as you're listening to me talk about this, in your life, what would be a bigger game? Now, Scott, you are already really playing pretty big for yourself already with all the support things you're already doing, and I don't know anybody else personally well enough to know, but from what you've said in the last two G pluses, you really are living your life completely on your terms. But if there was anything else you could do, what would be a bigger game? Like you have it pretty much set up perfectly for you now. But what would be a bigger thing for you? And then Paul, for you, what would be a bigger one for you? What would be a bigger game? What do you want to really do? You've got some amazing things in motion there with sustainable living and growing your own chickens and growing your own fruits and vegetables and building stuff on your house, plus being this like master guru internet guy. Like what else could you do to play bigger? Because in your world you're playing really big day to day, but what would be even bigger? What would be even bigger besides teaching, which is a big thing already? You're already very engaged in your community and your life, but what would be bigger? What would be even bigger?
Do you mean like something you would be remembered for?
It could be, but it doesn't have to be. It's whatever, and this is another one of those passion things. What would be a bigger game? What would light your life? Be your reason for being, raison d'être. That's my little French. I brought it out. No comment on the accent. I know I'm asking hard questions. You guys are not even talking.
Yeah, it's a.
I'm talking right in here. Believe me.
Andy, are you writing stuff over on the edge? I can't even look at it. It makes me laugh. Oh no, you haven't. Good. Andy, what about you?
I would go big.
Go ahead.
I would go big. I would. I mean, in the first instance, I guess I would be wrestling my own ego and setting up my institution that might be named after me, but it might not. But I'd set something up so that once I wasn't around anymore, there'd still be stuff going on. I'd make sure that it would, have enough money and resources and intention behind it, so that it would keep going. But then I would get out there and I'd want to teach to bigger audiences. I'd want to reach out to people, and I'd want to fix things and do stuff, and but also get out there with people. All right. This is the crux of it for me then. My grandfather used to say, "You can't change the world, but you can change a person." And I always think about it as I'm changing the world one person at a time. If I'm going out there and I'm meeting people and I'm being with them and I'm doing stuff, they're changing me too, But if I'm out there and I'm working with people, then I'm making something happen and I'm changing things. And actually, for all the ideas that I have about how important it might be to do things on a big scale, I don't ever want to lose the importance of being there on the ground with just one person, because actually that in the end is incredibly powerful, because I do something with one person and then they go and do something with someone else, and it's like dominoes or ripples or whatever metaphor you want. It just snowballs, and so setting that in motion is really what I want to do. And so I want to be doing stuff with lots and lots of people, and I don't want to just teach one classroom. I want to teach to a bigger audience and things like that. I love to teach things, and in that sense as well, I want to teach things, but it doesn't have to be. In fact, it's better when it's not stuff that I've come up with. Often it's just the stuff that people know. They just need a reminder. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not fussed about. It has to be my system that they do. It's whatever works for them. So I guess reaching out to people, connecting with people, and doing stuff with people, that's really what would make me happy. Just being with people and making things happen. That's it, really.
So guess what? You're already doing it. Look where you are, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but he's adding to it. He gets something by his description. He gets something quite visceral.
Yeah.
Through that interpersonal, intentional act. But at the same time, as you have pressed him, he wants to influence more, but he really gets paid right there in the interpersonal act. So he has the first level of abundance already. He has enough in what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, your payout.
But part of our progress is that we do desire more, and that's what part of progress is, that leaning forward.
Yep.
That's not prosperity. That's progress. That's something else.
Yeah. It's so funny that in most cases the thing, and Paul, you were a great example, but in most cases the thing that's the bigger game, you're already doing it to a certain degree already, but we don't acknowledge it as the dream. And so you just verbalized it and we all heard it, so it's been witnessed. And now you can really use that. And see, here's the thing. When you verbalize it, this is what the flying is. You just told us and whoever else heard it what you want to do. You want to influence, the interpersonal relationships, get out there and teach and go and do with these other people and touch more people's lives. So now that we've heard that, we know that. So now there's going to be a little movement, a little energy put out to kind of help you do that, because it's now been made real.
I'm going to go get the URL, paulwilliamsinstitute.org.
Do not get it unless you're giving it to him as a present.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, I went out and bought methbees.com for
Oh, Methbees.
Methbees is
that got under Lawton's skin, didn't it?
Well, I gave all those guys that invented it access to it, and they never posted anything to it. I posted to it.
Yeah, I think I posted to that too.
Well, you put some comments on there, but if you would like access and would like to write an article about Methbees, you're more than welcome.
You know what though? It's fun. I mean, all the internet properties that have my name in it. There are dozens of other Paul Williamses that or have already got there. That beat me to it. And I don't think it needs my name on it. I really don't. When I write under P.D. Williams because there have been other successful writers in the past. P.G. Wodehouse, P.D. James. And it just has the right ring about it for some reason. If I say P.D. Williams, people say, "Oh, that sounds like a writer." But apart from that, I'm not really. I don't have a huge attachment to my name, so I'm not really worried. It could be anything, I kind of like Glennis's one.
My one?
Not name. I mean your website name.
Which one?
Well, yeah, the whole sometime thing. I think that I like a name that kind of encapsulates, in a very general way, the intention or the feeling about whatever it is,
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, that one. I spent 2 days on domain shopping to get that, to find something that resonated. Because all the ones I came up with, I mean. It was hard. It was hard to find, but then when I found it, it was like, oh yeah, okay, and I haven't had any trouble since with it. So thanks. Yeah, I like it too. Good thing too, because I rate it.
If I can just make one more point, I did actually set up a company late last year, which I'm sort of starting to use more, and that was a really interesting thing because that really challenged me. What do I want to call this entity that I'm creating? It was like naming a child, And I copped out when we named Frankie. Of course, his real name is Francis, Francis John Joseph Wasdale Williams, and so, but we call him Frankie.
What? But John Joseph what and Williams?
Wasdale. That's Judy's name.
Did he get a sword with that, or?
But we kind of fudged it so that he can have different names. But when I had to name the company, I had to think of something that really meant something to me. It was either that or just choose a completely meaningless name. And so in the end, I got Powerful Wonders Limited, which was great, and I really like it. But now I've got to live up to it, and I'm really not sure how.
There's your big
so
game.
Funny.
There's your big game. So it's all coming full circle.
Yeah.
It's all coming full circle.
Hey Dave, I got the .com, so don't go there.
Yeah. Oh well. I'll just send you over a box of Welsh Rabbit.
Yeah. Melted cheese before bed. Yum. That's our diet site. Melted cheese before bed. That's only according to me. When I'm not actually talking real nutrition. But yeah, it's just between us, just us few here.
So will Cheese Whiz do in this instant gratification world? You just shoot it right in your mouth? No?
No. You know why? Because it's not really cheese.
Okay.
But we're not allowed to talk about that here, are we?
I suppose that is a brand name, isn't it?
I don't know. It could be in public domain like Kleenex.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it could be. And it's a secret ingredient on Philadelphia cheesesteaks.
Sorry, what were these? Beep, beep.
Yeah, I mean, maybe whoever show it is needs to be the bleep thing. When it starts to come out, we'll just go beep.
We'll have to go out on 7-second delay.
And George be frantically trying to edit our stuff out.
Well, even if it's on YouTube, it still isn't, in that sense, broadcast, is it? Still basic. It's still like basic cable, isn't it?
I think it is.
I do too.
It is, yeah.
Well, we're on 18+, so we can say some stuff. But
we can talk about our own.
We can remember, yeah.
Anyway, so back to you now have a bigger game. And what you'll find is that, just to get back on point from my thing here, you'll find that the game that you pick to choose to do, chances are you're already doing it to a degree, and the universe is so cool about that. It's not going to be something that's completely unrelated. it'll usually be something that you're already doing, but you might have tabled it, or it might not be something that you fully even, or you might be doing it really big already, but just haven't really come to appreciate that you are. Once you make that leap, once you fly in the direction of where you're already going and really own that, it changes the whole temperament of how the universe is reacting to you doing that thing, because now you've actually picked up that ball, as we were talking before. So it really changes how the universe will interact with you and support you, and the things that will come to bear in supporting you to get there. And wonderful, what was it again? Wonderful?
Powerful wonders.
Powerful wonders. That's beautiful.
But Glenys, the funny thing is that, of course, it's a limited company. So the name comes out as Powerful Wonders Limited. Wasn't quite what I wanted. But there you go.
You do know that limited, obviously, is a governmental construct, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
I know.
Powerful Wonders Limited.
Limited.
Oh, wow. That's kind of funny.
Yeah. Jumbo shrimp, yeah.
So then taking it the next step with this is you've now sort of acknowledged that you've already started moving in that direction, so now you have to have faith. Because now we're talking about dream making here. And we all have a little, because what if you fail? And I always tie faith with falling, because you fall and you can get up. But if you don't have faith, you never try, so you don't even ever try. So here's where you really have to kind of reach in deep and pull up your socks, reach in deep, and have faith that you can create whatever you want. Now, ask most people what they dream, and they don't even know what they want. And so I'm trying to give you some structure around creating a business venture, but there's other aspects of your life that you can sort of acquire and access the same way. Once you see where you're actually going and your big game is, like whether it's in a relationship and really fully loving somebody, and that's not making it all about you, it's not making it about them, and creating a relationship where you want greatness for each other is a wonderful place to start in anchoring a really solid relationship. Because if you want greatness for your partner, then there's nothing more fabulous about seeing that develop and grown in that environment. So now have faith that you can create, because you have greatness. You have greatness. Everybody here has greatness. Everybody who's listening to us has greatness. And so having the faith in yourself. And then we have these little stories, and we talk about the stuff that runs in your head. David, remember we were talking about that last week, where stuff just runs? And that stuff, that doubting Thomas that always goes, yeah, but what, but for my friend, he had this happen thing with that. The yeah, buts. Well, that's not faith. That's just noise. And it's a thing that keeps you from stepping into your flow, into your designed creation that you want for yourself. Now, you can control very little in your life, because the outside stimuli and what other people are doing, you can't control that. But you can control you. You can control the way you're being. And the way you're being will control how you're going to access this flow. And it also gives you access to your faith, because it gives you access and awareness of yourself in a way that you've never had. So would you say, and whatever you're thinking of as your bigger game, or whatever you're thinking of as prosperity and what that would be like, do you have faith that you can do it? Ask yourself. And if you hear no, say, shut up. Because that's not true. It's not true. You can do anything you want. You just have to be that. And you will have anything you want. Nothing's keeping you from being anything in your life except for you. The way you're being will set the stage for anything you want to do. And the people that you see around you that are being millionaires, that are having the life of their dreams, all these things, the way they're getting them is by being that. That's the thing you can control. The banks, the government, also the crap friends, neighbors, whatever, you can't, family members even, you can't control them, but you can control the way you're being in the face of whatever that stimuli is. And that is how you get flow. And that's where you develop your faith in yourself, because the more you see yourself being that and actually having it happen, that's where you get that ability to trust it. And then that word, that thing that so says, no, you can't do it, this is in the way, that's in the way, I can't get there from here. That's when you can say, shut up, I'm not listening to you. Because when you play safe and you don't try to fly, you don't get the bounce. So
I've been in this conversation for the last week.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been writing down everywhere little instructions to make. I mean, for me right now, the challenge is being more conscious, more sort of willful. You know, just doing stuff with an intention. You know, and so I've been writing on all sorts of bits of paper and books and everywhere, little messages. I've got one in front of me here. It says, take control of all areas, and it's just underlined. all these little reminders that, you know, I can't slack off. If I want to do this, I can't be a passenger, you know. I'm not in a film.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm not just watching. I'm the doer. And I'm really reminding myself constantly at the moment that that's what I got to do, because I've just come off the back of a period where I sat back. I don't know why. It doesn't matter why, but I just did, and then I watched everything kind of go floating off, and then thought, hang on a minute, that was my stuff, you know. That was what I wanted to do. So yeah, I've been in this conversation for probably the last at least a week. Yeah.
Well, it is funny. You want to be the driver, right?
Yeah.
And yet there's all of these passengers back here talking to the bus driver. But it isn't. Honestly, it's and we talked about this last week. It's not necessarily simple, but to keep in mind that you can intentionally act purposefully and keep in focus what purpose is. We suffer, and you know this from Zen, right? We all suffer because we're human, because of wanton desires. And there are many of those things, and they affect us in so many different ways that it sounds in one sense, by the way I'm saying wanton desires, that it should be some kind of obvious thing. But it isn't. It's so many things. Yeah. It is those things that make us human. And so the best thing to do is accept the fact that the bus is filled with all of those other people and just get on with acting intentionally with purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. You guys, that's so great. You
this one's not for you because you already have this. You know you learned this somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I learned this. Yeah. I don't know. It might have been in China or something.
Yeah. Somewhere. It's one of the pillars, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, you know, one of the things that I am forever teaching, coming from stillness, and Paul, I mean, I didn't even pay him for the setup on this. Seriously. This is unsolicited. But Paul was talking before, you know, about sleep, and then we went to stillness, and meditation, when you do it and you get to be a regular practitioner, I mean, you know, just, you know, maybe you do it in the morning for 20 minutes and before you go to bed for 20 minutes, which also, by the way, will greatly improve sleep, greatly. When you meditate, it enhances your awareness. It's like you get these little, like, filaments out of your being that now hook into places that they never saw before, because your head is out. The people on the bus, someone has muffled them, and you can now hear your heart, or, you know, what your inner. You know, people say, "Oh, talk to your heart." You can hear your own being, and a lot of times, for a lot of people, it's the first time in their whole life they actually were able to tune into it and actually hear it. And from that place, you're aware in a way you've never been before. So you see what you're supposed to do very clearly. And it's like, one time it was described to me as being out in a pitch black night and the road is highlighted, like it's all golden and you can see it. And it's just like that. You know exactly what to do. And it isn't like, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? That's brave. That's not it. It's like, that's what I'm doing. And it's clear. And you know it. And it's butterflies and it's like this knowingness that you just know that's the thing to do. So even, and I found like, even though if I just go, nope, that's what I'm doing because that's what I feel, that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that, I heard that, I'm doing it, I'm going. And a lot of times the road will still fork a little along the way, but that path that I went on that I was so adamant to go on got me to the next place. It's like, oh, I went to the next station, now I have a couple choices there, but then, oh, I see the path really clearly again, and I'm like directed. Now, it might not be exactly straight because I'm just not exactly straight, but, you know, with that, I kind of meander around. I've done a lot of different things, and I wouldn't say that I live the ideal life, but I sure have had a blast. So if fun was the thing, I did that in spades. And if experience was a thing, I've done that in spades. I mean, I have tried everything, all kinds of stuff, and been, you know, point A to point B. But the path has always been really directed in its chaos. And as long as I trusted it, I was always protected. Nothing bad happened. You know, everything was good. I met tons of great people. And so I always enjoy, no matter what the twists and turns are, I'm always like, oh, what's around the corner? And then I'd be, oh, look, see how this, and then when you get to that place, you can look back and the whole rest of it, everything that came before makes sense. But on the path, as you're doing it, you're like, this doesn't seem to be, but if you judge it, then you get off track, and then things get a little difficult, and that's when you start having it didn't work, it doesn't go, it gets hard. When you're on the path, it just flows, and it just seems so natural, and you don't even have to worry about where you're going. Yeah.
You don't have to work at it.
Right, and it's fun. So, so that's so then take this one step further and use childlike wonder as your next filter for this. So you're being yourself, and this is how you're directing yourself, by being the way you want to be in your world. Now, add childlike wonder, and this one's like, what if we did this thing? And you pull that piece in. Now, in the awareness of things, as soon as you involve other people, it becomes very real. And whatever business endeavor you're in, it becomes extremely real. And the momentum starts to happen because now people are participating. And I have to say, there's a gentleman over here in the left-hand corner here who's writing me very funny things on the thing, which I can't read out because I can't. But not that there's anything bad there or anything, because it wouldn't be. But it's just really funny because he's actually got voices in it. But the little gentleman over here, Andy is one of the most amazing dream makers ever, and so is Paul. I know because I know you guys well enough to say, where if you tell them what you want to do, they start the ball rolling, and that is the goal. This is the goal. These people are dream makers, and there's millions of us like this. I am one of them too. Somebody tells me they want to do something, I'll be like, oh, you know what? We can do that. We can do this. And I can bring this, and I'll bring that, and I'll go home and make a casserole, and we'll have food, and I can do this, and we'll have it. Well, this is what you want to engender because it's exciting, and it's collaborative, and it's team, and it makes it real. And the more people who witness you start rolling this thing out, the more it actually happens, and the more people are impacted by it, and the more positive everything is. So it's a great thing. And so the childlike wonder is, go sit in somebody's living room, so, you know, that has some talents and that you trust or that you love, and just be like, what if we did this? Or what if I did that? And just put it out there and see what happens. Because amazing things happen as soon as you verbalize it, because you are your words. You are creating it. You haven't even left. Your ass is still on the seat. You haven't even left the room, and you're creating. Oh, George, am I not allowed to say that word? Let's say 18 plus. It's okay, right?
By the way, that's why they're called speech acts.
Oh. Speech acts. Yeah.
Speech acts.
Oh,
Speech acts, yes.
Oh.
Speech acts.
Well, thank you for the clarification there. So what would be some childlike wonder things? And as you're thinking about yourself, imagine bringing that to bear in your life as a tool, as a way of being to progress. What did he type in? Oh, you're right. Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Guy.
I like the idea of speech ads. I've no idea what it would be, but I think it'd be quite funny.
I thought he said speech ads, like commercials. I didn't get it even then. I must still be congested from last week still. So I have a whole minute left. I have 2 more topics, or 2 more Fs. But basically, your future lies, the one you're living now lies in your past. So what you have done in the past is what you're going to do now, which will create your future. So the way you change it is right here and right now. Right here, right now. It isn't what happened before. That doesn't even matter. That only matters if you make it matter. So if you're continuing the pattern that you've done from the past, you will continue to create the future based on the past. Now, I don't know about you, but I was kind of stupid in my teens, and I would like to think that I could progress beyond that, and I want to make my future based on what I know now, and the experiences and the wisdom that I've gained from making all the mistakes I've already made. So I'd like to take that wisdom and do something cool with it. So I want to make my decisions from here. And the way you do that is by acknowledging that the way you're being, that you've been being up until today, if you're not being consciously aware of it, has gotten you here. But it's based on the past. You have the ability right now, today, from what we talked about, to decide, like all your Post-it notes there, Paul, and create a future from the new being. So in this new being, directed and focused and aware and tuned in, or whatever your words would be. And you're the only one I know. You were the only one that shared about that. So I can't even David, do you have anything that I could pull from that you would want to change going forward that you're working on for your bigger game, or are you basically where you want to be?
This is going to sound weird. I'm really working on the next Nobel Prize. I have this idea that about how to, if you know anything about text analysis, about how to imply things based on what is being, what has been written, and how to know something of intentionality of groups and individuals based on what they're writing and their connective networks and things of that nature. So I think I have this idea which came about because of some work that I had done with a company. I'm not even sure if this is the same name anymore, but it was Hilbert Systems was the name of the company. And it has stuck with me since then. The capabilities that they have and the technologies that they have are literally, even on PCs, are so much faster than even larger computers that some of the things that can be done are, when I first used them, it was like, wow, I could do this. I mean, I could do things that couldn't be done without $1 million computer or more. And so it always stuck with me that if I could figure out the structure of how to do this, then I could come much closer to making what looks like a computer think, or at least for it to be able to imply something of what others were thinking. And some people have done work in that area, but they've done it in a little bit more statistically. A guy named Bruce Bueno de Mesquita has done quite a bit of forecasting work with large corpuses of decision-making and all. And so that's sort of where that possibility in my next thing is. I'd like to do that.
Nobel Prize, listen to this. We're here with somebody who's trying for that. Now there's a big game. Holy crap. How long are you going to sit on that?
I work on it I work on it regularly. I think about it regularly.
Well, good for you. So there's a fly. He's definitely flying. Oh, David, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's a big game. Now, here's the thing. That is a big game. But we don't have to, conquer countries or set up food chains for Africa. Your big game has to be big for you, whatever that is. So for those of us who are here, who are hearing it, we kind of know where all of our games are. But for anybody else that's out there, because this is going out on YouTube and everywhere, for your big game, if you don't know what it is, spend some time with yourself and figure it out and then build on it like we've been talking about here. So you can implement, and it could be just in having the most amazingly perfect marriage ever, or raising the most perfectly wonderful children ever, or it could be having a fabulous vegetable patch and you feed 30 people from it. It could be anything. I'm just throwing ideas, but whatever it is, whatever your big game is, your commitment and your way of being in alignment with creating that game, with creating that big game. So the last piece, and I just have a couple more minutes, and I know it's 10:05. I do apologize. Is freedom, and freedom is an interesting thing because the more you're in alignment with yourself, and the more you're able to create, like we've been talking about, the more faith people will have in you. And the more faith you'll have in yourself. So your reach becomes bigger. Most people think of freedom as I can do anything I want, anytime, anywhere, no matter what. What ends up happening is their worlds actually get shrunk because people don't trust them, because they didn't show up, they didn't come, they didn't do what they say they're going to do, because to them, having freedom is doing anything you want. The real freedom is taking responsibility for every action, every word in your life. When you are in alignment with your word and you're creating yourself as your word, then you have more freedom than anybody because your word is good, you're in alignment with it, and people will treat you that way. And the resources and the assets that will come your way from that kind of a belief and alignment is unlimited, exponentially. And if you know of anybody like, Harry, he's really nice, but, he doesn't show up for stuff, and he's this and he's that, and he can't do this and he can't do that. So people start limiting what they'll allow that person to access. And they do it to protect themselves, and a lot of times to protect the other person, not ostensibly. So the more you're in alignment with being responsible in your life, for being in integrity with your word, being in integrity with your actions, the more freedom you will have, and you will be able to create anything you want in your life. So David's creating a Nobel Peace Prize winning work on word. Interesting. And you know what? This is the first time I've taught this, so I know it's probably it didn't flow as well as it might have in some respects. I'll hone it because I've been working on this for a while, but there's some aspects of this that I am sure are not in what you're studying, David, are not quite in alignment. So I would appreciate if you have anything that you want to share with me after the fact at some point on how to make this better. I would really appreciate it.
What are the 6 things again, the 6 Fs?
Fly, fall, flow.
Oh.
Yeah, fall was the faith one.
Oh, okay.
Fly, faith, flow, fun, future, and freedom.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So anyway, you guys, it's 10:08. My hour is up. Wyatt's back. And according to the schedule, I'm done. It's 3 in the morning for Paul. His voice is given out. Apparently, he's just grinning. Thank you so much, you guys. David, it was a blast. And,
fun.
And Scott, thank you for sharing your stuff, too. And Andy, thanks for the stuff on the side. Oh, golly.
Well,
it's always good to have a little Andy on the side, I guess.
Andy on the side. He's so funny.
Thank you all for allowing me on your shows again this week. It's just fantastic. And at the end, I don't know. I am so my mind's just spinning. And Glennis, I think the things that you do, are pretty profound in what you do, because you're changing people's lives. I mean, I do things, and maybe some of the things I do will have an impact on somebody for a brief period of time, but it's not a game changer for them. And I think the things that you do are, and the things that you talk about on here are, and it's a real eye opener. Every time I watch one of your shows.
Oh, thank you.
With a lot of introspection and it's like, hey, you know what? Maybe I need to think about what it is I really want to do. Besides what I'm doing now, I may enjoy what I'm doing, but I don't know if that's enough.
It's enough.
Experiment.
Yeah. No judgment. Here's the thing. It's only, it might just be like you have to think about this and be like, I did have something percolate and then I wasn't, paying attention to. And it'll start to, flow. It'll be like, listen to me. I'm little, but I didn't get a chance to talk, and I'd like to say something. It'll come up, and all of a sudden, weird stuff will happen that'll be totally in alignment with this little thing that you weren't looking at. And you'll be like, this thing happened, that thing happened. Maybe I better look at that. And then, boop, there's the golden path, and off you go. And I love how it happens. It always is so, the universe, I don't want to say it sounds like woo-woo, but when you're on track, the stuff that you need it's like it falls out of the sky. It's just all of a sudden it's there. And I always think, this is so great. And then I call everybody up and I'm like, this thing, I had a thought and then it happened. And it was like, oh my God, it's so cool. It just happens. And you don't even have to, send a letter to Santa or anything.
It's true though. It can be the tiniest things that prove your point. And I was at work today, and one of my colleagues had bought loads of equipment, and it had been taken, and she didn't know where it was, and she was a bit upset by it. And I had borrowed a pen from her, and she reminded me that I'd borrowed it, and could she have it back? So I said, sure. And then she said, oh, because all my stuff's been taken. And so I was stood there, and I was surrounded by all these other things too, and I thought, I know, I'll put a little pack together of things and send a kid down, one of my pupils down to her room with all this stuff. So I gathered together all these things, just basic stuff like pens and glue and scissors and whatnots that she'd had taken, and paper, and I said, right guys, you take that down and give it to Miss. So they took it down there, and I got this lovely message back about how it had made her morning. And it wasn't a big gesture or anything, but then, and that's it. I thought it was done, And then it got to lunchtime, and I didn't have any lunch. I hadn't prepared anything. I'd been in a rush and all that. And I was just thinking, I wonder what I'm going to have for lunch. And then somebody else, one of the cookery teachers, had cooked all this food and came up to the staff room and walked in the door. And literally, as I was thinking, wonder what I'm going to have for lunch, she said, "Oh, here you go, Paul. Here's your lunch." And I was like, what? And I got given this beautiful, steaming hot plate of food, which was delicious. I mean, it was absolutely delicious. And I was just thinking, isn't that funny? I don't know whether I mentioned last week that I'm reading this story to my son, bedtime story, and the moral in it is the mother tells the boy, when you do a kindness for someone, it always comes back to you, but not necessarily from the person that you did it for. So, you know, you were kind to so-and-so, and then so-and-so was kind to you. And I was thinking how, you know, it's such a profound message in a children's story, you know, but he's really interested in it, and he's only 4 years old. And then, lo and behold, there it is in action, you know. And, I mean, I know it's a tiny little thing, but it really made my day, you know, because I was thinking, you know, I mean, you know, it's a lovely thing. So there you go. That's my food story.
I like that. Great.
Was there cheese involved?
There was cheese on top, a little tiny bit sprinkled on.
Oh golly, yeah, it's really cool how people, how like the little things. If you actually take the time to notice how they kind of mesh together, it creates this amazing fabric of wonderment. I'm like, oh, look at that, look how that's happening, look what's created here. If you take the time to see it, if you're aware enough to see it. Now most people don't notice. They don't notice the connection of like what they thought they wanted or what they might have needed, something that they actually need, and then all of a sudden there it is. You know, somebody will hand it to you right into your hand, and it's not, you didn't pay for it. It's just they just hand it to you.
It's the candy of life, of Wondermints.
Wondermints. Andy, how do you spell that? Is he saying Wondermints? Wondermints. M-I-N-T-S. Wondermints.
Wondermints, yes.
.com, yeah. Candy of life, yeah. So, you know, and the really cool thing is now we have been here 2 weeks in a row, and with the little stories and things that we have shared, and a lot of these are pretty in-depth, so I do appreciate, I know I'm asking some personal things, you know, for you to share, and I just wanted you to know that I really appreciate the depth that you guys are sharing at, and because I know it's not easy, but this is what, because you're helping me with my big game, which Scott kind of nailed on the head. I guess you outed me. That I want to reach more people with this, because so many people are very lost, and they know they are, and they don't know what to do. And there's all these people out there telling you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that, and there's all these patterns of things, but they're all repeating the same things over and over and over again. And I have a little bit of a different spin because of my I don't know whether it's the Welsh Druid thing, because that's my heritage, my grandmother, I don't know where it comes from, but I got a little bit of my own little spin on things. You know what it is?
It's the cheese.
It's the cheese. It's the cheese before bed. That's what it is. Melted cheese.
Was that cheese? Cheese or cheese?
Oh, do you know what? Somebody comes on to TMN whose handle is Chi Whiz.
Yes.
I think that's so great. Chi Whiz. Are they on now? They're so funny. Anyway.
No.
So you know, so Scott, thank you so much, because that's my goal. Is I'm hoping and I'll participate in any kind of anything like this to just get it out, and it's in the air, and you guys are hearing it, and you're helping me spread and share and grow it, and you let me practice on you tonight my new concept, and I just wanted you to know I'm very grateful. Thank you.
It was wonderful being your guinea pig.
And we should all say that this is a wonderful abundance helped along by George.
Yes.
Thank you, George.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, cheers, George.
It gets better and better.
Yeah.
And to all of us, too, because we show up. Oh, is he there? Hey, George.
Oh, wait.
Oh, no, he's gone.
George.
Oh, God.
So, are we going on into because according to the TMN schedule, it said that we were supposed to have an open panel discussion. Okay, wrap up. Okay, we can wrap it up now. So, does anybody have anything they'd like?
Roll the credits.
Yeah.
No singing, no music, unless Andy's doing it. He's got original stuff.
Now we can do the outtakes.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh,
Yeah, to the wave.
Oh,
Too much.
Bouncing wave.
That would be cool, yeah. Can you all time your positions and do a Mexican wave across the bottom?
David, you have to go first. Oh, that's the wrong way.
Well, Andy would have to go first otherwise. Yeah, there you go.
Well, he's stuck. Okay, so let's just get it together. We can do this.
This is somewhere where I'd like to teach the world to sing, I think is.
But not the copyright version.
This will be our G+ handshake.
Yeah.
I'll make a really cool animated GIF.
So I think
I
think I was the outtake for most of the evening.
Oh, there he is.
Our lurker comes back. And he speaks.
Back from the
Hey,
International
what?
Space Station.
You popped up just like Dr. Strangelove at the end. I can walk.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Oh, it's nice to have you back, mate. We missed you.
I think I've worked it all out now. I've updated a few things on my, I don't know, the Google Hangout has just taken a lot of system resources from my computer, and I think I've kind of fixed that. I think there was a couple of parts that that weren't compatible with some of the other stuff that I run, so I think that'll be good. Anyway, it sounded like you were in a great time. Anyway,
You were.
And,
we were getting ready to tell you to go around to someone else's house and use their internet.
yeah, I think that's what I ought to do.
You could say, "Oh, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You're not using it."
Now,
Apart from
give me
his
Gordon.
security.
I'll email Gordon's wife and tell her.
Go outside
I
and point everybody's satellite dish at your house.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll boost your signal.
That'd be better. In fact, I need your help, Andy, sort it out for that. But yeah, Glennis, I think the neighbours, they have the same issue because they knocked my door about a week ago.
Okay,
and
then I
said,
guess it's not going to work.
you know, our internet's really slow. What's happening? And I went, I think it's just because we're so far from the exchange.
Oh, God. Hell of a thing to be an internet guy with with a tin can and a string.
Well, I think Paul lives in a more remote place than I do. Yet you seem to have good internet. So
We've got really reliable goats that carry the signal.
Goats.
He's got GoatNet.
The Welsh mountain goats
GoatNet. I like it.
that carry the packets.
Need to
It's
get
better
that,
than Ramsnet.
Get that domain, David.
Yeah, GoatNet.
There's a good one. I think that maybe you should see. Well, I mean, who would think that Wales would have better internet than England?
You would think that South Korea would have internet that moved at the speed of thought, but they do.
Oh, their internet is amazing. Absolutely astonishing.
Phenomenal.
It's scary.
Well, I guess we're just
I'm
gonna have
using the
to
Korea then.
figure out how to boost signal here for England. Maybe we can just do it.
Wow, you'll have to come down to my place, mate.
I think what you got to do,
Well, I don't mind, mate, if you can put me up for whatever.
Every Tuesday. I'll get the beers in.
There you go.
Get the fish pie in.
Oh, fish pie is so good.
Swansea fish pie.
Yep. Oh, it's really good. Yep.
I think we have a really nice mix, you know. I like it. I do.
Yep. This is really fun. And it's really neat because and this is the whole point of the Hangout things, but this is really relationship developing because I didn't know David, and I only met Scott at the Warrior thing, but you've been on the show. And there goes Wah.
I guess he didn't fix it.
Out yet.
Internet bungee.
And it's like it's got to be really disconcerting because I mean I got kicked out right at the beginning tonight, and I don't know why that was, but anyway, it's really relationship building because we're actually kind of experiencing doing a live broadcast together, and it's really it's like a trial, an experience, and we're experientially sharing it, and it's very really special. So thank you.
And we're doing it without Charlie Rose. How about that?
You've got that Charlie Rose look, David. You know, with the black background and everything.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
I want to know how you do that. I can't get my background.
I would like to do that. How do you do that?
It's a mind thing.
He painted the room black.
See, we talked about this last week. There really is nothing back there.
I turned off the light, but mine didn't go black.
You have to have a high key. I have a key light. You have to have a main key light and nothing else.
And it's like pointing down at you, right?
Well, yeah, actually it is the chandelier, which is actually makes a reasonably good key light, by the way. And the closest thing behind me is probably about 6 or so feet away, and it's a stairway. So you can't. I mean, I don't think. I'd have to turn the lights, other lights on for you to be able to see it.
I can see it. I saw the edge of it. Yeah.
Right. Right.
I'm gonna try and do a black one next week.
We can
I
all
hadn't thought about that Charlie Rose thing. That is really funny, actually. It's a good idea, actually.
For a new look. Now I'm doing strobe effect.
Yeah. Well, now you're back to teenage, right? Back to the back to the 60s. I don't have to worry about my teenage years. I don't remember them.
I'm living mine now.
Yeah.
I live like a teenager. Childlike wonder. It's the best way to go. What if we did this?
Oh, I still turn over rocks.
Turn over rocks?
Sure.
I still get sticks and make streams.
Yes.
When it rains.
Yeah.
In fact, it's raining now.
But do you sit the chickens in little boats and send them across your stream?
Spell your name in the snow.
Oh, no, Scott, now I know what you mean.
That is one of, by the way, that is one of the oldest jokes.
I don't think girls can do it as good as you can.
Are we still broadcasting live?
Oh, that's very bad. This is not good. This is
probably not cursive. You know.
Yeah.
Probably not cursive. We're talking about. So, David, what does that mean that we're talking about this? You know, what is this intention that we're putting out?
It's while back. Was back. Yay.
Childlike blunder. I don't know.
Childlike something. Blunder.
Maybe we should, if we all reached over and grabbed him.
Yeah, maybe we could just hold on to him and he wouldn't keep leaving. Well, on mine, you're the closest, Scott.
See, you guys are reaching, when I'm looking down, you're reaching the wrong way.
Really?
I see Waz right here for me. He's right next to me, right there.
I'm now touching fingers in the by the way, with Scott.
This way for me.
Wah looks like an old Kung Fu Master type game sprite. It looks like he's going to kick Scott in the back of the head.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to kick him in the back of the head. So I see it the same way you see it.
Yeah.
But like then, we're bouncing then?
And then Scott's head would bounce across and hit Paul's head, and it would be like a Newton's cradle effect all the way across the bottom.
I have a large black frame next to me.
See, I see it on the other side of you.
And then I see Glennis.
Oh, they're different. We're not all the same on the bottom.
That's correct, yeah. And then Paul.
Well, I never knew that.
Andy was in the far left both shows, all the way to
just precious.
David's right and left are different to ours.
This is my right.
So is that thought or perception?
Oh, I see.
David's camera shot. He's cloaked in the dark forces.
Yes.
Oh, I think we're going to get a message from George that says he's typing. Okay, shall we wrap up?
We did wrap up.
We have.
All right.
He's
We have.
probably just too
No, I think he really wants us to sign off as a wrap-up. So somebody needs to bring it on home.
Okay, Paul, why don't you? Because you start. Do you have enough voice to finish? Can you do your? Because you do it so nice.
Oh, well, look, this has been the second week that we did this. We did this in conjunction with TalkMarketingNow.com. We all came here again, and we did it really well. And we're finding our feet, and I think we're having great fun too. And I hope anyone that watches and listens has enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of this. And if you did, come back same time, same place next week, and we'll do it all again with slightly different topics, and we'll slowly advance towards wherever you want to get to on our success mission. Okay, well, look, thanks to everybody who was here tonight, and we had a blast, and I hope you enjoyed yourself, and I think we should all sign off by saying bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And hopefully I'll get some technology right.
Okay, folks, see you all next week.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.